Well, welcome everyone to Hash Church, number 6 on the episode number. And I'm just happy to be here. Happy to have you guys here. Happy to enjoy a Sunday afternoon chatting about my favorite topic with some great people. And why don't we start sending out invitations? I got Tony Verzura sitting on standby, and I've had quite a few other people ask for links. So I'm going to send a few links out to a few folks. Brian Gilbert and Ben Shane. I know that Johnny B and D and all the other guys will definitely be coming in, so might as well hit them up early today. They won't know. And who else should we hit up? We better hit up D420K. He's always a pleasure to have in the room. So I'll hit those out. And I'm listening to you guys in chat, so if you can hear me, if you guys got any questions, it's nice and early. Hello, Rachel Sheffield and Bob Bloke, Darrin from Chile, Bob Marley. Well, we all know where Bob Marley's from. I can't wait to get on cam so I can take part in Hash Church video chats. PM me now, Bob. It was like World War III last night round our way. Dog doesn't mind, so all is okay. Yes, Halloween and day after Halloween was a little bit insane. Today is actually, of all things, my 19th wedding anniversary. And I woke up and I just have been completely focused on getting Hash Church. I don't even know if I've mentioned to my wife how much I love her today, and that indeed I'm very pleased to have spent the last, well, 25 years actually, but 19 of them married. So, yeah, started Hash Church a little bit early today. I guess we better turn on the D-nail. I think that's a rather important factor here at Hash Church, turning on the D-nail. I've got a lot of glass here today. I was lucky enough to have Flav come on down yesterday. He's got a glass show that he's going to be doing with the Dampkring Gallery in Amsterdam from around the 20th till around the 28th. I think he's got about a week or 8 days there. And so he's bringing some pretty epic glass. And I kind of had an idea with him and Greg from the gallery that we could potentially take epic photos of the glass in different nature scenarios. And we could post those photos along in the art show, in the gallery, with the pieces. So don't worry, I've got 3 epic pieces today that we're going to be puffing out of on Hash Church. I'm going to puff out of one for an hour, another for an hour, and then another for an hour. So should be kind of fun, you know, with Flav. You never know what is going to be in the house. Let's see who we've got in chat. We've got Matt Siegel in Michigan. We've got Walt Wright, Slurpin' Madick. Nice name, Slurpin' Madick. CC Skatevid, good morning, Hash Church, and Hipstermeister from Croatia. Well, welcome, Hipstermeister. I love the fact that you guys are from all over the world. I love the fact that you have this passion in you. You're just looking to get that little bit of a spark, and I think that that's what I like to consider Hash Church. It's the spark that's going to get us all going on our passion. It's going to teach us about our endocannabinoid system. It's going to teach us about all the different cannabinoids and terpenes and terpenoids that are present in the cannabinoid profile that we so love. If you're a smoker, if you enjoy the herbs or the hash or the oil, I can tell you something you may or may not know. This is what you love about cannabis. Although we've all shown the leaf is usually what we all have on our shirts for many, many years and what we've promoted cannabis as. But let's be honest, I think the leaf is a much better representation for a food product, for a clothing product, for a paper product, basically for commercial and industrial uses, with also the overview of the medical and the recreational. The leaf really represents the plant as a whole. I like to look at the cannabis leaf as a full-blown overview, the cannabis leaf, of what cannabis is. Whereas where I'm speaking about the medicine or the medicinal values of the cannabinoid profile, I like to really focus in on where we know science tells us, as well as my own personal bioassaying, of where that medicine lies, which we know is right inside the glandular trichome head. There's some more here. We've got, this one is Jack's Cleaner, and this one here is the Congolese. Over here we have a little bit of extracted resins, which is some Astro Boy fresh frozen that I ran with Johnny B. Above that is a field in Jamaica, and going right next to that we've got Remo the Urban Grower with his UBC Chemo Kush. God, I gotta get over to see Remo again soon. Clay McConnell from out in Colorado. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, Black Jesus Herb Chemist. Hello, Travesty1 from San Diego and Mika Luch from Buffalo. Mr. Stain 73's from Alberta. We got Rosemary DeLorenzo from Miami. Black Jesus Herb Chemist representing Detroit, Michigan. And hello, Julio Baez. Hi, Bubbleman. It's Julio on this side. Say hello. Don't be ignorant. Well, I don't think I'm ignorant, Julio. We're happy to have you in the room. And, yeah, we're happy to have everyone in the room, really. There's no ignorance going on here. I mean, not purposeful ignorance. I definitely don't pretend to know everything in life. So I guess, in a sense, I'm always going to have some ignorance present. But I'll try my best to not be ignorant, Julio. Good to see you, buddy. Yes, Master Chaos is in the house. Well, I'm glad the video's got you going on the quest for full melt, Bob Marley. That makes me happy. Yeah, it's true. Toronto, Nick Brult. Oh, we got a good crew in here. I'd love to see that some of the peeps make it in. See if Johnny B wants to come chat a little bit. I'm going to send the link out to Jibs John Burry as well, a well-known hash maker and really just a great friend. I've only met him on a few occasions, but I've really enjoyed the time that I've got to spend with Jibs. He's a humble dude, and he's a kind dude. I'm also going to invite Jen Doe, one of our many female hash makers who kills it on the regular, winning first places at Cannabis Cups. And, you know, more importantly than winning first places at Cannabis Cups, she posts photos of epic, epic quality bubble that I personally want to smoke. So that inspires me. Yes, Slurpin, I'm going to try and get that happening. I've had a guy from New York contact me recently, and he's got a clothing company and a skateboard company, and he wants to do some collaborations. So that might just happen. Brandon, I'd love to send you the link, buddy. Let's get you in here. If I can only find you in the 8 million. Oh, there we go. There we go. Let's get Brandon into the chat. Brandon is a medical marijuana user suffering from multiple sclerosis. He's moved himself over to Calgary because he's able to get the help he needs there from the hospital. But he's also a staunch supporter of cannabis and a cannabis warrior, and he's currently using cannabis as one of the main forms of his medication. So hopefully we can get him in to chat a little bit about that. I know a lot of people have MS out there. I know MS is not as mysterious in its cannabis use, medicinal cannabis use. I know a lot of people, multiple sclerosis was one of the originals back even 15 to 20 years ago, that it was very noticeable that how quick and easy the titration of the dose was, how you could see someone who was clearly shaking and tremoring, and they could instantly smoke, no edibles, no creams, no salves, no drops, literally one little puff on a pipe or a joint, and that shaking is really going to go down. Let's see. Hash making vids definitely inspired me. B-Man, do you think the fact that you and Johnny B flush for so long contributes to your melty resin? Well, I don't know if it contributes to my melty resin, but I suspect all the variables are going to contribute a little bit. Megaluch asks, what's the best use for leftover flour after cold extraction? Well, you know, I like to do a coconut oil extraction. Any type of oil is going to really pull off the majority of what you've missed with your wet wash or your dry sifting, so that's a good call. Thank you, Julio. We're doing this. We're trying to get it going. Oh, I'm great to hear, Travesty. He says he's completely changed his outlook on what we're growing because of the awesome channel. He was a BHO guy for a long time, and now he's on that full melt bubble dry sift for my dabs, which is great, actually. I really wish Horatio was in church right now, because I want to start talking about, I mean, I'm going to wait until he gets here, but I would love to start a conversation in regards to something I heard on the Adam Dunn show recently, and it was Jim Frere, and Jim Frere was talking about the difference between, well, the polarities of chemicals, the chemical extractions of nonpolar solvents versus the mechanical separations of a dry sift and a wet wash. And Jim, being a really brilliant guy, he's got a science background clearly, and he was able to really explain in this really, to me, a very clear way that really blew open my mind to understand some of what's going on with this plant and in the difference between the extraction we do. Oh, we've got Tony, we've got John, we've got Guy, and we've got Brandon. Welcome, guys.
What's going on? What's going on?
Well, you know, I'm just starting to talk about Jim Frere's wonderful quote on the Adam Dunn show the other day, Tony, and I'm really glad that you're in here because this might be something that interests you. It really blew me away, and I'm going to read it real quick here. I've got it brought up here. And what Jim said was, in regards to talking about extractions that are done with a chemical solvent versus mechanical extractions versus, you know, dry sift and wet wash, what Jim said was this: we're comparing apples and oranges. A non-polar extract is in no way, shape, or form comparable to the polar and non-polar and even semi-polar compounds in natural plant products such as dry sift and bubble hash, or even plain plant material. So as soon as you hit something with a non-polar solvent, you've automatically eliminated anything that is polar. Thinking these polar compounds are completely useless or just need to go by the wayside to the trash can after the extraction is part and parcel to the reason the scene is kind of stalled in the doldrums right now. How natural plant products contain many polar compounds, they act as expectorants and they act as nucleation points for all these other compounds which you really don't want in your system. It's one of the reasons that they can show that smoking marijuana is beneficial to your lungs. It's because of the polar components of the plant. They act as nucleation points and as expectorants. Now when you leave those behind, you get a sticky, waxy substance. If you rub it between your thumb and forefinger, it turns to almost a glue. If you do not have something that will allow that to nucleate, it's just going to stick to your alveoli. Then you've got real issues. In natural plant products like bubble hash and dry sift, you've got these polar compounds which help expectorate these nauseous contaminant waxes. And you also have various polar terpenes that are known expectorants. So that was a long quote, but that was it.
He said those words word for word?
Yeah, I went to the Adam Dunn show and I literally listened to every word and I wrote down his quote word for word. I have a hard time quoting someone and changing the words, you know.
Smart man. I I agree with that. I think that depending on what your use is would dictate the type of polar, non-polar, or semi-polar. As I've hinted before. Like with the prana, that plant fat that we have that we're using, that's part of our kind of patental process, is semi-polar. The process of extracting, whether using CO2 or hydrocarbon, those have to do with non-polars. And then keeping it in the mechanical form is what he was talking about in the dry sift, would be in the in its whole entirety. And so when you're using polars or non-polar solvents, those will have a very adverse effect on what it does to the cellular membrane of the wall of the trichome head, as we talked about.
Yeah.
And then I even find that that some of these, the terpene extraction, I'm going to get it tested and find out if it's polar or non-polar or what the deal is. Because I feel, and so does conversations I've had with Mr. Watson, or Sam the Skunkman, as many people know him out there, is that some of these terpenes that are water soluble or not water soluble also have characteristics of being hydrophobic, in the sense that when you have terpene oils and essential oils from the plant that then you apply, say, back to a dry sift, it'll actually break it down as a solvent. So
right.
now you're actually using the plant itself and the terpene itself as a solvent. Whether I know that's polar or not at this point, I don't know yet. But I do know that some of those terpenes become hydrophobic and they attract water. So you might end up with a dry sift perfectly cured out. If you end up trying to reinstall the terpenes into the heads and you do too much of it, or you do the wrong type of terpene, it then becomes it becomes almost like a non-polar alcohol or a solvent that strips the waxes, and it looks like it's going to white out.
You know what? Horatio spoke about this just the other day, and he was talking about not the adding of the terps back to the dry sift, but he was talking. And John, could you please mute your mic when you come in? We don't want to hear all the banging and the clicking. Welcome, by the way, and I definitely have things I want to say to you. For whatever reason, I can't mute your mic. So
I can't even.
I can hear him banging every 3 seconds, and it's just I'm all OCD about it. I ask him every time to come in and mute his mic. I can't mute his mic right now, so I'm going to ask him one more time. Please mute your microphone, Johnny.
I can mute it.
I tried. I've tried 20 times. Do you hear me, John?
I don't hear it at all.
I can hear.
Perfect. Excellent. No, he's muted now, but it just doesn't show that he's muted. I was hearing the banging of his scissors on the metal tray. To get back to what Horatio was saying, Horatio was basically saying that the grading of the bubble, the microplaning, is doing a similar thing. It's breaking up the heads. It's releasing those terpenes, and those terpenes are able. They don't seem to affect the inside of the wax membrane. But when you shred the wax membrane with a microplaner, now you've removed all the terpenes, and now they're touching the outside of the wax membrane, and they act as a solvent, and they break it down, and they white out. So we're looking at this microplaning aspect, probably not a problem if you're inhaling the medicine or using the medicine edibly within a short period of time, but potentially over the longer period of time, and I don't pretend to know exactly about this, but when I heard Jim's quote and I heard Horatio say what he said simultaneously, it made me realize, is this what's happening with the bubble that I microplaned? Because it tends to white out much faster than sieved bubble that's left out in the Pacific Northwest to absorb moisture out of the air.
So I agree with that, and this is also why Jibbs is super adamant about the temperatures and his microplaning. I want to show you what how far he goes, what he does to get the water out, and that kind of stuff. And he's really particular. He's fired somebody over the microplaning the wrong way, in the wrong temperature, with the wrong shit. Let me show you this.
But it is something of interest that he might want to look at in regards to the potential. I mean, and a guy like Jim Frere is really an ally in all of this. I invited Jim into. I never. He said he would consider it. I kind of didn't think that he was going to make it, but boy, it would be great to have him stop by and go in a little bit deeper into this. And by the way, Johnny B, you look absolutely incredible, dude. John B's on his 4th or 5th day of hot yoga, for those of you that don't know. And I can really tell the difference, John. I can see that your face is thinner, and you just look healthier, bro. How's that feeling?
You know,
Johnny B.
unmute your mic, John. But I've been on this.
I was going to say, I didn't know what John was doing and where he was at, because it looks like he's in just a constant sweat lodge, but then I realized he's not in some spaceship or alien spaceship. He's in a grow room. But it looked like he lost 10 pounds. What was going on over there? Now Bubbleman's muted.
Yes, I mute myself when others talk. That way any sound I make won't go through the mic. And I appreciate everyone that's in the room. Just mute your mic if you're kind of, because we do little things, and the mics are so darn sensitive it picks it up. So I don't know if John B got a haircut or if he lost 15 pounds. What do we got there, Tony? You showing us Jibbs's hash? That's the microplaned.
This is hold on a second. I don't know why mine looks like that.
Welcome back, John.
It's very dry.
Excellent.
Looks like
let's have a puff. It's Hash Church and we haven't even had a puff, and I want to show you one of these incredible pipes that Flav brought over here the other day. So, without further ado, this here is the Dosa Mothership. I have no idea the value of this thing. Someone was telling me yesterday probably about $20,000 or $25,000, which kind of blows my mind that Flav would bring it over to my house and leave it here, but let's do some dabs, shall we?
I was supposed to get I broke my recycler yesterday. It was kind of sad.
No!
Yeah, I went into Illusion to check out some of the Mothership, glass, and it sold out the same day they got it.
Gosh. Yeah, of course it did. I might go over to Brandon's place today. He's in Vancouver at the Fairmont Hotel. He's sitting there with a sublimator and a D-nail. And I might go down there today with 2 or 3 mothership clear pieces that he has an interest in looking at to potentially get himself one.
Definitely be appreciative if you did that, Mark. That would be huge. Been searching around the city for 2 days now and just keep hearing rumors of people with motherships. So.
Dude, I know exactly where they are at all times. We'll sort you out.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny because I went in there like, yeah, you got to get on the list, man. I was like, well, I'm best friends with the owner, and we were hanging out for his birthday, and I was like, I'm on the list. And they're like, well, yeah, you just got to get physically on the list. I'm like, well, put me on the list. And like, again, I've been asking for an egg for like a year and a half, and I was like, how much do they run now? And I was looking at this like Toro recycler thing that was like made out of pink glass. I'd never seen from them before. And then
I can hook you up.
he goes, how much do you think that's going for? And I was like, I don't know. He's like, it's the last one we got left. It's brand new, hot off the press, blah blah blah. And I was like, I don't know, like 3,500. And he's like, no, like 15. I go, oh, 1,500. I was about to say I'll take it, right?
15,000.
He goes, 15 G's. And I was like, 15 G's?
Dude, look at this. This is like 20 plus. It's a dosa.
It's ridiculous, dude.
Yeah, but if you want a mothership, let me know, bro. I'll hook you up, no problem.
So now I'm back to the Halen. Look at this.
You're on the Halen?
Yeah, it's okay.
Dude, let's get you a mothership, just a clear fab egg. Maybe I'll get one brought to Amsterdam for you.
Dude, I'll pay for it. I like the tubes. I like the tubes too.
Yeah, I can get you a straight fab or an egg. Probably today I could go buy like the mini ones that they're selling down at Eden for $1,800
Done.
All right.
If you bring me a tube or a head, I like the Flower of Life perk.
Yeah. Yeah, so you want the same one I have? I have this. I can get this one in a smaller version, just a little bit shorter.
Yes, it's exactly what I want.
All right. I'll go grab that today. Now, Johnny B, tell us about your yoga, dude.
Can you bring that to the dam?
Yes.
Yoga's
Welcome,
awesome.
Horatio.
What's going on?
So,
I was asking John to tell us about his yoga.
well, the first day was, it's just getting harder. Yesterday was a really good sweat. It's aligning my body, and I'm able to start now understand the poses and how it's actually straightening my spine. I'm just being able to stand up a little bit better. And when I'm locking my arms and put my leg in behind and understanding how all the moves, actually help with digestive tract, with blood flow and everything.
John.
And everything is aligning. I'm injured, so it's helping me tremendously really understand more about my histories. And I'm already very spiritual, so with the yoga, it's taking me to another plane because I'm able to actually access things that a lot of people don't understand, but I can because of my therapies over the years. So it's just another step in my recovery. It's something that I've needed to do, but I don't think I would until now. And now I'm ready for it, and I'm doing the 90-day challenge. I'll be going every day. I already found out where I can go in Amsterdam. There's a hot yoga studio in Amsterdam, by the way.
Yeah, I know. Trust me, I know.
So I'm already finding out all those spots. If I go to Barcelona, there's a fucking wicked one there apparently. So I mean,
they're everywhere.
It's just, for me, it was something that I didn't have time for because of just the way my whole life was. But now there's nothing but time for me. Whereas before, I was just figuring things out. So now it's about it's my hash, it's my yoga, it's actually aligning my plants with my own self, and it's just going to come out to be some amazing resin is what's going to happen.
Dude, I think it's truly the missing link that you were missing, John, because you're such a positive dude. You're a smart dude, and you figure out what you need to do for yourself. But since I've known you in the last year, I've still watched your health deteriorate in a way that made no sense for how focused you are on healing yourself. And with yoga, in 4 fucking days, dude, you look more like you looked when I met you 2 years ago, bro. So that's pretty fucking powerful, John.
I needed it, but when I was working out all the time, and then everything that happened, which with some diagnosis stuff, I just kind of I didn't pay attention to myself, and I just needed to get back into it. And within weeks, I'm like, boom, right there again. So I'm very excited to, and even just a lot of good stuff going on, even with all the new medicines that we're coming up with, and I'm stoked on the microdosing. Of course, Horatio has been helping out Mike, and I have my drops too. There's just all great stuff. You guys are all
wicked, dude. Well, welcome, Horatio. On that note, I did just read Jim's beautiful quote a few minutes ago, and I mentioned it to Tony about your quote in regards to maybe it would be best for your words to say what you were mentioning about the microplaning and the potentially non-polar soup that it creates, if I got that right.
Well, when I read what Jim was saying, and he was talking about how the dry sift trichome was, because it was an intact piece of the puzzle, and that polar compound that allows you to cough up those waxy lipids that are so painful remains inside and unharmed. And so I thought about that, and then the statement, well, when you do a non-polar extraction, you basically leave that behind. So now you've basically made dangerous waxes that it's your responsibility to remove. So I thought about that, and then I'm like, well, then what's happening with bubble? Where does that polar and people smash their trichome heads? And with the truth of it being lost, I thought about, well, I've seen Bubbleman use a strainer, and that's going to reduce that smash factor by at least 80% with the
No, 100%. There's no smash or breach in sieved hash, because I photographed it with my macro lens.
Exactly. So I looked at how many people were willing to go to that subtle trouble, and I'm like, well, it's there. You can do it with bubble, but that's not what people want. People want to get it done. And I'm like, for that one last step, all of that good is thrown out, and it makes it no different than a non-polar extraction that lost its polar head.
But here's the thing. Now, Tony has some of Jib's hash. Jib's is a microplaner. He planes under very cold temperatures and flash freezes the patties and is very key in all of his variables. Still, really, he's microplaning his hash and then drying it out. And I mean, there's just no complaints about Jib's medicine. Everyone loves it. It's beautiful. Every time I see it, it's on point. I think that maybe it's possible that, because I was talking to Tony as well, Jim specifically said that the wax membrane protects the head from water, and I was surprised because he said that it can't extract water-soluble terpenes because as long as the wax membrane is intact, it can't get through the wax membrane from degrading it like a solvent. Because when you breach those heads and the oils get to touch the outside of the trichome membrane, then they tend to produce what we call that whiteout factor, which I've always said is the degradation of the wax membrane through the solvent that is water. I guess potentially it was through the solvent that is a terpene.
That's what I was about to say. I was like, it can be both, because, yeah, you take that limonene, put it on the outside, and away we go. So, I mean, that's the same thing like when tropical temperatures get so hot that the resin head, if it ruptures, it's like, yeah, it's literally like the acid from your stomach eating the outside of your body. So I see how I'm like, well, yeah, if it's dry, that's going to slow that process down, but it's that, I mean, it's down to a chemical medicinal argument, which, I mean, the last end of it is for Jim to explain, because I had some other questions about how other ways the expectorant factor could function by the terps themselves.
So on an additive point to that, there are certain terpenes that are hydrophobic, which means they attract water, and they're also a solvent. So when they reach the head of the trichome, it has different effects. So what we were talking about earlier, here's Jibs's water. This is a Lemon Hell's Banner 90. Looks like dry sift.
It does. I can attest. Look, here's dry sift.
Right? And so what he does is he actually dries it out before he ever microplanes it, but that's another tech that we're doing. But so let's say he's careful in his and he's got heads and everything. Now, when you add, let me give you back one thing.
This is one. This is bubble, and this is microplane, and it's just like dry sift too.
All right. So let's talk about that. So this is the pure terps, right?
Yep.
So when you add that back to this, if you try to do that, you get something like this. This is what I would consider a little bit more than I would like it. But this was once a little cube.
And is it butter now if you break it?
This one I did really good to where it was really hard. But it looks not buttery.
Gooey?
It's kind of gooey. It's softer. It's almost like it's going to cake out. And that to me tells me that there was too much terpene oils that are penetrating the heads. Those terpenes happen to be slightly hydrophobic, which means they're going to start attracting water as they're breaking those heads apart. And so in some water hashes, if you don't, in my opinion, if you don't dry out the heads and then you plane them, so you don't wait to grate, if you will, if you do it right away, then what you're essentially doing is the water in which you're leaving around the trichome head, like you were talking about, is able to penetrate those heads because they're capturing quite a bit of the terpenes in that process because it is very fresh. So now all of a sudden you're getting a terpene penetration, and the terpenes happen to be hydrophobic, and they're pulling in the waters into the heads or into the hash, causing it to cake out.
And then on that sense, I guess it's just as likely that the water now being able to get into the terpenes will also pull terpenes out of the head, which now can also degrade the wax membrane.
And that's what I think you're seeing.
Damn, we're figuring shit out here, boys.
Well, I mean, Tony, can I give away a little bit of advice for people on that want to dry their wet hash out with a little bit of tech? I mean, because that's the one thing Jibs is allowing himself to do, is grate a dried product, which is less likely to smear and gain heat when he's microplaning it. I mean, the truth is, you've got to find a buddy with a vacuum oven, press your hash out until you get a beautiful sheet between two parchments, and give it a slow pull. I mean, there's other cold methods to sublimate the water out of your hash without heating it as a method of drying your hash. So, I mean, it's more of a technique similar to freeze drying. But it can be done if you have friends. Two of you in this video have a friend like that.
Really?
I don't know anyone else who does. But
Dude, we all have friends like that. Come on, it's just a matter of putting it out there. And hey, while we're jamming away here, we should also welcome Guy, who rolled in here. He hasn't said a single word, but he's with us. He's
hello from Scotland.
Scotland in the house. Well, I hope you're enjoying Hash Church, and I hope you are enjoying our ramblings today as we talk about just the different things that we love and sort of the different things that we're just kind of figuring out as a passion. We're not really like, in competition with one another, but yet we feel that we're all on the same team, passing the ball back and forth, and in that passing there seems to be a good amount of knowledge that seems to come up. So welcome to the room, Guy.
Thank you.
I got some other people that are looking to join. The Brindle Farm crew wants to join. Horatios.
There's one thing I want to say about water, though.
Please.
You don't want to create a fear of water in the sense that water, to me, is, we talk about solvents and non-solvents and things like that. And yeah, by definition, sure, it's a solvent. But to me, more or less, it's a mutant carrier, if you will. Why do I say mutant carriers? Because it's one of those things that you can change its phases, and you can change a lot of things. If you know how to manipulate water in a natural way, you can do quite a bit with it. And you study, if you go back and study the pyramids, and you study how they used pyramids as resonators, and they were extracting water for energy and electricity. And so there's a ton of things. You can do a lot of things with water. my friend.
Yes, you can move boulders like feathers with water.
You can do a lot. And so water has very unique properties. How it acts under pressure. You can change boiling points. You could freeze it. You could turn it into a gas. You could turn it into a steam. You could turn it into anything. It's the fundamental of life. So it's
the sustainer of life. I mean, I say that all the time. Chemical solvents end life, and water sustains life.
So if you know that's your carrier, then you can't be afraid of it. You just need to know how to work with it. So water can be your friend and it can be your enemy in the hash making process. And so I think that's what the most important part is. And there's that's really ultimately what it comes down to. Whatever your technique is ultimately you don't want anything, any water, anywhere near your trichome heads. And if you can prevent it, do everything you can.
Absolutely. I agree. I mean, water's definitely, I'm a big supporter of water and ice. I think it's the greatest method that has come up in the last 100 years to teach any person at all. And I've seen this over 15 years. I've literally taught people how to make water hash, shown them really simple, you know, basically what I would call almost the golden rule of water hash, like get the trichome cold, don't overmix, don't use enough ice, don't leave it in the water for too long, and break it up properly so it dries. I've taught people how to make what I would consider hash as nice as anything I've ever made, you know, in an afternoon. I did it with my mom, who actually worked for the police for 30 years. I taught her in an afternoon. It was really quite simple. Whereas dry sifting, when I try to teach people to dry sift, and I always use Darrin as a great example because I find him to be an intelligent dude. He's no dummy. And when I taught him how to dry sift, it literally took him almost 3 months before he had finally isolated resin. And it wasn't because he, you know, it's almost because you cheat no matter what. You like, once you get to 80% heads, you think, holy shit, I got 80. This is, you think it's 100. First of all, most people don't look with the scope. They don't get the big macro camera out. Like Tony also has an incredible macro lens on his camera. He could see. I can see. A few people can see. The people that can't, I suspect they should go buy the little tiny microscopes or an Olo clip for their iPhone, because seeing the 80 to the 99 is a world of difference. And I'll tell you, when you understand how much lower the quality of the hit is when you hit 80% heads compared to 99% heads, you start understanding just how diluted cannabis resin is on plant matter. You know? I mean, hash can be contaminated so badly that 80% of the product is contaminant. That's getting close to the contamination ratio of plant matter.
Yeah, for sure, I think then there becomes that next platform, because then you have to be careful, because once you get to 99%, that's all you ever want. Then you're like, oh, that's only 80. You know? And
there's nothing to smoke.
Oh, there's nothing to smoke.
You're surrounded by...
John knows the struggle. John's in the struggle daily because he does all his own work. He grows all his own cannabis. He extracts all his own resin. And I shit you not, you know, once he figured out integrity, it's not like he doesn't have it. He just didn't realize he wasn't purifying in the proper ways. Once he figured it out, I mean, fuck, there's been very few people in the last year who I've watched take their whole crop and just grind it into powder over screens.
We're doing it right now.
Yeah, that's some high-integrity shit, Johnny B. That is high-integrity shit. Because most people, like Above, I was chatting with this kid from Ontario named Above in my tiny chat the other day. And he was, you know, oh, all I can do is make BHO and this, that, and the other thing, and I can't grow enough. I don't want to get heated out and get in trouble. And I just kept saying, you know what, you're making all the wrong choices that are giving you the excuses to not make the right choices. Why don't you stop making those excuses? You know, start growing for resin instead of for high yields. You might find your resin yield goes up as you pay attention to it. And you also might find out whether it goes up or down that the quality of it goes up. And that is the most important factor in all of this when you're truly using this as a medicine, and in my opinion, even a preventative. Who would want to use a preventative medicine that was less than what it could be? Like if you were trying to prevent diabetes in old age, would you take shitty weed that had been already run and take that and use it to make coconut oil and then eat it? Or would you take your best hash, make coconut oil, and eat that? Darrin, how about you answer that?
I believe Dr. Mercola has a really good idea on diabetes.
Who does?
Dr. Mercola.
Yeah, same with Dr. David Allen. He's been really
they have
opened my eyes about it.
really interesting
about it.
Let me invite Dr. David Allen in right now. Why don't we do that? Maybe he'll come in for a little visit. Because this is another brilliant man. Super good dude. Cannabis warrior in all forms. And yeah, let's see if he can come in. I know he hasn't quite figured out the Google Plus thing, which is unfortunate. It's kept a few good people from coming in. But welcome, Darrin. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing pretty darn good. We're hash churching it up. We've got 185 viewers. And we've had a good hash church so far.
Morning, John.
Morning, Darrin. How you doing, buddy?
Oh,
So as
excuse
we
me.
were talking about what we do with full plants, I'm in the midst of a plant that I've just grown for 84 days, and I'm crushing the whole thing over the screen to show people exactly how to get exactly what we're looking at. And then I'm going to bring it to you, and you can help me clean it, Mark.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, exactly what we should be doing is just harvesting the gland heads. I mean, for me, it's what I show everybody at work every day, and it's really changing people's real thought pattern on exactly what we're getting from growing nothing but huge trees, but actually what we're after really is truly the medicine that, like me and Horatio were talking about on Friday, and exactly what we're talking about again today is breaching those heads and what's going on with it, and it's now I'm just talking because my cat's scratching at the door.
Excellent. Yes, it's true. We all love the medicine. We all love the message. Herb is the messenger, and glandular trichome heads are the message. So when I order a pizza, go figure, I throw the box away or reuse it to dry my hash, and I use the pizza to consume and eat, and that's what I do with my medicine. I've never understood how we got so... I guess prohibition is really to blame for the modality that we're all surviving under. Tony with the little hair crimper curling iron type unit. Just press a little bit of that between the parchment. You can also do that between oil slicks, and it will press your hash up quite lovely. So
I'm
yeah,
gonna just actually smoke some right
smoke
now.
some?
Bone
All right.
rip.
I'm down. Time to hit the dosa. The dosa manosa.
First rip of the day.
Ooh, I think I'm on 3 or 4, but I'm still pretty...
I've been for 60 Sundays. Darrin, I'm going to hit some of your tricep, thank you.
I'm going to actually just hit straight terpenes.
Yeah. Can you pass those over to me?
Woo! I'll tell you, when I hit the barb, it feels like I'm hitting straight terpenes until I get super high upon the exhale.
The bar.
Woo! I'm telling you. It'll be interesting to see how he does at the Karma Cup. He told me recently that he entered into the Karma Cup.
Yeah.
So he actually entered what I would call not the first, but the second grade, as I give him usually 3 when I clean for him. And the second grade was so melty. He said he was like, I entered it in the Karma Cup. So it'll be interesting to see if his seconds, not even the nicest, brings him home a cup.
No, if it brings him home a cup, what does that say? What does that say about Toronto? If his
It doesn't say anything about Toronto. It says that no matter where, trust me, he'll have those seconds in Amsterdam too, and I wouldn't have any shadow of a doubt. I mean, I cleaned it, so I can attest that it was so nice. Like ridiculously nice, Horatio. I was like, the firsts, well, you saw the first, you saw that white powder go on the...
I've been there. I've been there. Yeah, that's kind of why I'm like, yeah, well, if a dude just drops off his seconds and leaves and blows you away, everyone's in trouble. A lot of growers are in trouble. A lot of people should reconsider their spring phenotypes.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you one thing. Matt's selling a lot of barb seeds.
Yeah. No doubt.
And good on him. Good on him. You know, that is a great fucking strain. What's that, Brandon?
Saying I brought a slab of the barb shatter here for the weekend, and all the boys in Vancouver just been loving that.
Dude, because it's so tasty.
Oh yeah, for sure. Everyone thought it was a sativa.
I'll have to come down and hit you with a little of the dry sift.
Yeah, absolutely. Horatio was kind enough to drop by and stop off some LHO for us the other night, so thanks again, Horatio, for that.
Good stuff. That's cool. Excellent.
Would be prime.
Well, it looks like you're ready to party.
Yeah, we're trying to have a good time.
When I say party, I mean saturate your endocannabinoid system. Because really, party is just more of a prohibition, anti-cannabis, like, oh yeah, man, why don't you go get high? When really it's like, you know, here's Brandon sitting there enjoying, like, literally medicating. Like, how much better is that than cracking open a pill bottle and being like, oh, fuck,
this is my definition of a party, yeah. Absolutely. That's my definition of a party.
Yeah, mine too, I have to admit. I'm very happy to be
Coconut oil.
feeding the endocannabinoid system today. And in fact, I think at one point in time here I might do a little cleaning of some hash. Just go over a simple technique of how I can remove stigma hairs from dry sift that I'm preparing to card over a screen.
Dank.
Dank Commander. Now I'll tell you, that Dank Commander is some tasty shit. I've had it in Amsterdam, and I've had it in Jamaica, and I may have even had it in Canada.
You know, I blew out the biggest fucking fart last night right beside my little grandson, and he just fucking near fell down laughing.
Well, that's definitely hash church worthy.
I'm sorry, man.
No, that's hilarious, dude.
He flipped, man. He just looked at me like, what? And then he just started fucking laughing. He's just learning his words now, so it was fucking hilarious. We had him overnight. Look, we all camped out on the couch.
Excellent. That's hilarious. Little kids are the best. I love them. I love them. Master Chaos says, good day, DK420.
Good day. Good day.
Stephen Weinel says, I'm an old fart and I miss the old school Colombian gold. Well, Stephen, what I'll say to you is find yourself an exotic sativa and then take it in the summertime, cut it down fresh, and hang it in the day sun. What you'll do is you'll bleach the chlorophyll out of it and you'll get that effect of your golden herb. And that's what they did with some of the Maui Wowie back in the day in Hawaii, and they definitely were doing that with the Colombian gold and the Santa Marta gold. So there.
That's some used information right there.
Well, that's what we want to do, man. You know, whatever it is, whenever it comes to you guys, if you guys here in the room, you have something that you want to say that you feel is valid and, you know, you want to share some information, by all means, share it. I have sent the link to Dr. David Allen, so he might be listening. We can all say hello to Dr. David Allen, and I personally just want to thank him for being an inspiration, for teaching me much about the endocannabinoid system, and just allowing me to have dialogue with him back and forth has been a real blessing. I find him to be an inspiration, and I hope one day that he figures it out and makes it into Hash Church, because the dude has serious knowledge. Any plans for me to come to Colorado for a cup? You know, if I could get down to the States and ensure my safety and know that I could cross the border without any problems, I certainly would. I'm not sure if I am allowed to cross the border, as I am a felony-charged cannabis felon. I was supplying a compassion club about 20 years ago with cannabis. This was the first compassion club here in British Columbia and in Canada, for that matter, called the BC Compassion Club. It was started by a good friend of mine by the name of Hillary Black. Hillary started it independently, but certainly had an incredible crew of people. Who helped her along the way. I was one of her first growers, and as was Romulan Joe, one of her first growers. And if you have heard of Romulan Joe and the Romulan strain, I can tell you something right now that will be exciting to you. For 20 years, people have shown me strains that they claimed were the Romulan, the old school Romulan, and people don't understand. I used to know Joe very well. I still know Joe, in fact, and I used to trade Joe a little bit of my Dutch treat that I would grow for a little bit of his Romulan, and then we would sell the rest, usually at a loss to ourselves, to the Compassion Club. Back then, the Compassion Club was only terminally ill people, and a lot of those terminally ill people were suffering from AIDS and cancers, and they were also combined living homeless or in extreme poverty. So it was a really heavy-duty vibe at the Compassion Club in the early days. None of us could produce profit. It was just, it seemed like the most horrific thing to do, to produce any type of profit. Even at a loss, we would just lose. Joe and I would sell this herb for way cheaper than we could turn around and buy herb that wasn't as nice or grown as safely, but we needed our own herb as well. So what we did was we sold the herb we grew, and we bought the herb we smoked. And back in the day, that Romulan was the piniest, most incredible, beautiful cannabis. And I'll tell you something about that Romulan. I have not tasted anything in all the years since the Romulan, aside from one guy named White Rabbit from Overgrow who had a cross of Romulan. It had that pine taste. But I can tell you that, to me, the true Romulan, Matt, the great gardener, has and sells under the name GG1, which is his Afghani 1. I never thought about it back then, but I guess the Romulan was just an epic Afghan. But it's the nicest Afghani I've ever tasted. It's so piney, and if you've ever had the pleasure of tasting any of Matt's concentrates, dry sift or wet wash from his Afghani, which he's now renamed GG1, I'll tell you, it is also worth having. It's the parent in the barb crossed with the shishka berry. So the shishka berry from the yellow line crossed with the Afghan produced the Barbara bud. So you want both of those. If you're buying the barb, honestly, get the Afghani too. I think Matt should offer them both as like a deal, you know, like as the you want these type of deal, because they truly are special. All right, Henrik Elgard says, have you, Tony, talked more about the LED light and found out that the sick LED Tony talked about is the actual LED you and JB has? I don't know. I'm not sure if that's the light. I do have the light right here. Coincidentally enough, the thing weighs about 50 fucking pounds, but I should be able to lift it. Oh yeah! Here we go. So here's the light. Got these fucking... It's got to be 50 pounds, no joke.
Hey, did you get that winch, Johnny?
Yeah, I want to put a winch on.
It's got a glass over the cover, and yeah, there it is.
It's doing amazing veg. I'm very happy.
It's a big old heavy thing, but I am going to get it going. I appreciate John acquiring one for me, and we'll see what it is. You know, I still have a couple of people contacting me all the time about the other LED that was donated to me by Lush. I've never seen a company with more haters. I don't know if they have bad blood with partners. It usually is connected to the people who are hating. Like in the seed business, are usually the competition, which my spider sense always goes off. Imagine if I wrote people up and told them how bad my competition's bags were. And that's how I chose to promote my bags. I don't think that is a really legitimate way of promoting things. And if you do want to promote something and love something, then just promote your passion for it. You don't have to mention how, you know, shitty you think someone else's stuff is. So thanks for the light, Johnny.
No problem, dude. You know what? I've been growing with it now for 21 days, and the veg is great. It will be going into flower in the next 3 days. I'll be putting up a new track and a little winch for it because I don't want to put on a phone system.
Yeah.
And yeah, in flower Tuesday, Wednesday, and I'll definitely be doing a video on it. So I'm going to be growing the Barbara bud because of the resin. I'm going to be growing the Medi Haze. I'm going to be growing a Medi Kush and I'm also going to be growing a haze common. So it gives me 4 or 5 different kind of strains, and we'll just see how the LED will produce on the sativa, the indica, the hybrids, and then the high CBD strain. So it gives me an opportunity to take a look at how it's going to perform for all different cannabis strains.
How did you like that resin on the barb?
It's killer. I have a bag of it right here, ready to crush, and I actually have the Afghan here too.
Have you run it yet?
Pardon me?
Have you run either of them yet? And if you have you noticed just how much resin barb drops compared to other plants?
No, not yet. All I did was I did a first bounce. I only had 1 plant of the Barbara. I have it sitting right here in a bag. I was going to crush it over the screen when it's really dry, so I put some toilet paper rolls in it that were thing and put it in a Ziploc bag. I'm trying to get it really, really dry right now because the resin on it is amazing. And the Congolese that I'm just working on right now, wow. It's insane, the resin on that.
Yes, exactly. Amazing that there could be a person out there that wouldn't want us to share a strain to just get out to the people. I mean, you know, I go back to the sharing is caring. I've given John every strain that I have. I gave him, he was the first one to get my 20-year-old Jamaican lamb's bread, which I could have easily, you know, like I could see someone in the community literally building that up through the story and the photos and the way it was all hyped, and then just trying to keep it for themselves so they could make a bunch of seeds and sell them. And I'm not really against that aspect, but at the same time, it's like once it's out there, now it's out there. You've sold a bunch of seeds, you've given a bunch of cuts away. I just, you know, maybe in the prohibition-based model where it was like, oh, hey, I want to sell all the most weed and make the most money, maybe in some warped world that was okay. But I think with the world being at like epilepsy and people dying of cancer and all these terrible things, that maybe it's okay that every strain is available to every person, regardless of what a person thinks should be or shouldn't be. Who put them in charge? Who made them the you know, the cop of the strain? Who wants to be a strain cop? Damn, there's a term for you. What do you say, D?
Strain pig.
Hi, Monica.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people, some people in the world that follow us have a misunderstanding of what we're even trying to do. Even with the whole DNA coming on board, everyone's like, oh my God, you're trying to control strains. I'm like, maybe, maybe you missed the last 14 years of their mission, which was great.
It's simple. You patent and you sign deals like that so that you can, not so that others can't.
Yeah, but the idea is to bring those strains to the people, like you were talking about.
Of course. Holy shit. How evil would it be if it wasn't? How evil would it be? We can't even conceive of shit like that because that's not who we are. The vibes don't lie. That's what I was telling my good buddy the other day. I said the vibes don't lie, man.
No.
The Emperor Wears No Clothes.
Yeah, Emperor Wears No Clothes was the most inspirational book to my friends and our group when we were young teenagers in Manitoba. It was Jack Herrera's book that got us inspired to go to Amsterdam to meet this guy Jack, who had the Ukrainian connection with the Institute of Bast Fiber in the Ukraine, Goroborodko, who was the head at the time. He had connections there, and he had seed called Zolotonosha that was a low THC variety because the DEA had come into Kiev 30 years prior and said, you get rid of THC or you get rid of hemp. And well, these people had been growing hemp for many, many, many generations, and it was just something that wasn't an option. So they decided to figure out a very simple way using a litmus test that Goroborodko himself went out into the fields with the farmers, and they could test for THC. I don't know if it was an alkalinity thing, but it turned this thing purple, and those ones got pulled, and they did that for literally like 20-plus years, pulling all the strains that showed THC. And literally, that simple method got their percentage down to 0.01%. THC, which it seems like a nightmare, but I'll tell you what it did was when we met those people and we acquired that seed and we went to our government and they said, well, it has to be below 0.3, and we showed them 0.01. They just signed the papers. We just it was like we just got a license and we just grew our first hemp field. That was around 1994-95, one season after Joe Strobel and Jeff Kime, the Ontario tobacco farmer and the Ontario lawyer, received the first and only hemp license in all of Canada. The next year, 7 were granted, and our little group was one of them, the only one from Manitoba. Just a little bit of history. What I was doing 20 years ago with my friends, you can now go to the grocery store or the website, and you can order Manitoba Harvest. Those are my old partners, and you can order all sorts of amino acid-rich essential oils, which we know are equally as important as the phytocannabinoids that we seek to get into our body. So it's amazing that cannabis, of course, gives us both of them in these perfect ratios, all 9 essential amino acids that the body requires but can't produce on its own, including the 3 for children. And then in the perfect ratio of the GLNA to GLA, 3 to 1, this is the perfect assimilation ratio for human beings. Go figure. Second only to breast milk. Gotta love cannabis. All right, I'm putting the dosa aside and I'm pulling out the next piece that I'm going to hit for the next hour. Now this is a Brandon Martin. Brandon Martin, it's a highly skilled electroform. He's got chunks of metal and components that are built right into the glass. And it's a huge tube that goes up about 2.5 feet. So once again, I want to thank Flav421 for bringing over such an epic piece of glass. He's going to have these pieces of glass at the Dampkring Gallery in Amsterdam from the 22nd to the 28th. You guys should definitely go check out the Dampkring Gallery. They've always got some pretty awesome shows going on. So during the Cup, it always seems to be glass-oriented, which is great. But all through the year, you can check out the Dampkring Gallery in Amsterdam. And, of course, the Dampkring also has Coffee Shop Dampkring, and they have Coffee Shop Tweedenkamer, which is Dutch for second room. Yes, they named their second coffee shop Second Room. But when you name it in Dutch, Tweedenkamer, it sounds so fucking good, doesn't it? Right on, guys. I support the Dampkring. They've got some great hash. Go check them out if you're in Amsterdam. What? I drink Manitoba Harvest protein, Bob Marley says. Yes, well, you drink that because of the work that we did in the early 90s, my friend, because that was indeed our small group of 4 guys. That was Johnny Gio, the youngest, myself, the second youngest, and then we had Alex Schwieski, and we also had Martin Moravchuk, which was kind of the mentor of it all at the time. He was a little bit older than us and had traveled to Central America and hung out and eaten mushrooms under waterfalls. I was like, fuck, man, this guy's super cool. I'm going to be inspired by him. So I thank Martin for the inspiration back in those days, getting our group together and really making a difference in our province. We were hemp activists for a total of 9.5 months before we got hemp growing legally in our province, and I got to say that was pretty impressive for the day, for the time. And welcome Nikolai Andresen from Denmark. Welcome, brother. God, it must be pretty early or late for you. No, I guess not. Only 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock at night in Denmark. I was thinking of our friend Unity, Rasta Unity, who is in Australia. He's a Brazilian from Australia. He may be listening today. He's a new friend I made from Facebook and TinyChat. And he's a real good dude. You can check out his band, Rasta Unity. I dream about the Tweed camera like once a week or so. It's in there at some point, Stable Boy says. Interesting. So, how's that press coming along, Tony?
Well, what I did was I buy these parchment snack and sandwich bags.
Yeah.
That are all liquid raw, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They're certified, composable, non-bleached, natural barrier, non-petroleum, no chemicals. And so I just cut that in half, and then I use one of these little things for $6.
Yep, the little crimper or whatever, the hair straightener.
Yeah, you plug it in and then you let it cool down for about 10 seconds and then you go over it. So I took like 3 or 4 grams of different OGs and Dank Commander and some Lemon's Hell Banner, Lemon Skywalker OG, and Skywalker Oranges. And I added some terps.
Nice.
Just some terps. Pressed it out, froze it inside a bag.
Yeah. Man, this is an epic effing piece, and every time I go to pick it up, I'm kind of just nervous about it. Because it really is completely psychotic. Brandon Martin for the win, guys. Brandon Martin for the win. You're gonna puff hash. Why not puff it out of some epic fucking glass? Honestly, I don't collect glass like this anymore. It's been 20 years or 15 years, but I sure love the guys that do. I think it's great. They got a passion for it, and yeah. I'm glad to see the glassblowers getting the recognition that, you know, I see a lot of people kind of choked. Well, you know what? Don't be choked. If you want a piece of glass and you can't afford it, you can always learn the art form. Some artists are getting a lot of money because they're producing incredible quality glass. Now let's see. I barely ever smoke lighter bongs anymore, so this will be a test to see if I even have a lighter anywhere in my desk. So
on that glass.
What's that?
Glass has become, it's really become like a piece of art now, and it's it's like anything else though. It's only worth what somebody's going to pay for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but right now so many people are paying for it. That's what's crazy.
Exactly. So that's what's driving it up.
Well, of course. That is exactly what's driving it up. Oh, look at this. You know what I just found? I found some matches from our good friends at HQ in Barcelona.
Yeah.
Definitely suggest that if you guys haven't, check these guys out. HQBarcelona.com.
Does that logo have the Sixth Sense eye thing?
Yep. Sure did.
Nice.
All right, this is got an old Slinger bowl on it. So Slinger did that bowl back in like 2000, and I put it on the Brandon Martin here. And I guess we're gonna start puffing with a match, Skunkman Sam style. Also, another one of my mentors, one of my hash mentors. Martin was one of my hemp mentors, and then I had Ron Hickey, who was one of my most inspirational mentors. He really taught me about growing cannabis and really being obsessed about cannabis. I would give that up to Ron. And then now Skunkman Sam, who was one of my my hash mentor, really my main hash mentor, and has been a good friend for the last 10 plus years or so. He used to always hit with matches. I used to be able to find him at the Cannabis Cup in the late 90s by just walking around on the ground and looking for brand new screens with single hits and like 10 matches. Screens and matches in a trail all up and down the PAX Party House, three stories high till you get to the top, and find him sitting there going, shh, shh. So props to the Skunkman Sam, props to Flav and the Glassblowers, and of course props to Hash, guys. Let's have a rip.
Let's see how mine's doing.
All right. Well, I'll tell you, you sure do require a stand with this particular pipe. Oh yeah, there we go, nice and gentle. And then of course there's a little piece of metal that closes it all up and puts the piece on safety. Man, that is just too nice. Now, the ash on that hit that I just took is literally nothing. That was dry sift, and it was a fair amount of it. It literally left no ash on the screen whatsoever. And so I guess really, getting back to the topic at hand here in Hash Church, because maybe we've been a little off topic, I don't know, is that we all deserve the best there is. It's not a contest. It's about whoever gets there first, showing the rest of us what we need to do to get there, because it's what we all want. And I see John laughing because he knows it's fucking true. Oh, what do we got going on there, Tony Baloney?
Oh yeah,
This is-
being kind of.
Woo!
I
I'll
got a
take.
freezer full of-
This is
I
the
gotta
thing
make
about
half.
Tony. What's that, Johnny?
Said I have a freezer full of fresh frozen. I can make 8 different kinds of fucking batches next week. So I'm gonna do one every day: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
These are
Just
the
say I'm
hash.
running out. So that
like
way
it.
I have resin for the.
Yes, good call. You better get on it, because holy shit. I leave in like a week.
Look how greasy that is.
That looks greasy as fuck. Or as Bubbles would say, Jesus Christ, Ricky.
Jeez.
That's fucking greasy.
We're gonna put it on the screen.
Crazy.
I'm gonna.
Darren's
All my
getting
bubble half.
like I can
like
imitate
sift.
fucking Bubbles. I like how Dredd thought Darrin made screens. He's just got so many hash screens. He's like, no, dude, he isolates heads.
Is that what he's doing? Is just screens?
He's fucking rocking isolations
Screen,
all day
more
long.
screen. There's screens everywhere. 1 set, 2 set, 3 sets, 4 set.
Ballet Zone. Thank you
Another set.
for the words there.
And then over there I got my other set on my other desk.
Woo!
Make hash when I want. Then
That
open up the door over here to the finishing products.
We all
Yeah.
watching Tony's screen. I notice all our faces are looking.
Yeah,
good.
sorry. Get 1 second, Darren. Give it once there. We're almost done. We were all watching Tony's incredible melty hit, but it's done now. So now we're looking at your camera. That's the finished?
Oh, that was insane. That's got to be the definition of 6-star right there.
Yeah, that was the Maltola. That was a big rip, too.
Somebody got me started talking on something there, so sorry.
Dude, no, we wanted to see it. We were just literally, what happened was Tony all quietly put that thing on his screen, and then I just clicked on his screen, and it went full screen, and it was like I was hypnotized just for 18 seconds.
Nice. The greasy hit.
Holy fuck, was it a greasy hit. Everyone's got greasy ribs, so I'm sure John's greasy, Horatio. Hopefully Guy's hitting something good. I know you do, Darren.
I got joints. I'm smoking some raw papers with Northern Lights crossed with White Rhino.
Interesting. Sorry, I was hypnotized again. Tony started showing his hash. Stop doing that, Tony.
He keeps doing that, and I was going to ask a question, and I'm like, but what? Tony, I was going to say, now you have to do that live at the party, the whole process, because how does that keep? Like, if you sit down, do that on a Sunday, by next Thursday, those terps, being all puttied into it, what's the shelf life of it before it starts to, pretty much do the things that butter would do?
So that technique is not used for something to keep for a long time.
So if it's live.
So this is for you to smoke in a 2-day period. But there is a technique that I will be bringing that is hard in glass, and you can keep it for a long time. Sealed.
Right. That makes sense.
This was just kind of like slapping it together, you know?
Well, I mean, there isn't supposed to be mountains of it by the droves that are sitting on shelves. It's, I mean, just like pressing hash with, curling tools. And I love that it's always a big bald man that's got the tiniest curling press crimper in his fingers at the party, and he's just like warming up for something big. So I figured it's cool to be going around with your vial, your parchment, and setting up. Everyone watches and you captivate the party. So a 2-day lifespan is
Well, I don't know. It's a little longer than 2 days. I mean, this has been 30 days, and this thing's kind of like what you would consider whited out a little bit, maybe. It's kind of cakey.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that's super butter.
You know, the word of God, and thank God we still have guys like Rob Clark and the Skunkman Sam, because really, and welcome Del, the word of God is in those old guys who have literally, like, they've been around the block many, many times. They've traveled to hash-producing countries. They've been making some of the best hash in the world themselves for so long that it really stands out that when one of them, and they'll do it, I've seen it at Legends, you know, I'll just see one of these guys all excited to show them the hash, and he'll, you know, one of them will just be like, it's wet, I can tell, there's moisture in it. And you just see the person be like, what? No, I dried it properly, like, and then they'll take the rip and they'll be like, oh yeah, it's all sharp on my throat, and like, can't you tell that's wet? And they're just so brutally honest that it's like, I hope we never lose that. Because what's more important, our fragile egos getting a light bruising, or us all learning how to do things better? Just curious what you guys think. I think the latter.
I think you should always live with the sense that there's always more to learn, so you're always going to, if you're lucky, meet your grader, so keep your tone in accordance with that, because yeah, you've been getting by on, you know, probably your friends thought that was killer, the way those rips tore them up, but then you meet a connoisseur who says, rips aren't supposed to tear you up, that's all bad, that's moisture. You just wish you met him sooner, I hope, versus being like, that guy's a dick, and he's just a hater, and taking that mentality of coping with it by just calling people a troll.
Yeah, it seems to be the way of the prohibition-based model, to create that sort of like defensive reply immediately, rather than accept that, listen, we're always learning. I don't pretend to think that I know everything about, you know, hash or resin, and I think every day I learn new little things, and some days are better than others, and I think one day in the future I'll learn an incredible new amount of information as science opens up the doors, and as the ability to bioassay and experiment with R&D licensing, and being able to actually have access to and constantly large amounts, sun-grown, indoor, the whole 9 yards. Once people have access to all of that all around the world, we're going to make jumps that are light years from, you know, what we've made even in the last 10 years. I think it was Tony, maybe Tony or someone else that had mentioned, and I was thinking the very same thing, that, you know, CB1 and CB2 receptors, great, but just wait until we learn about the next level in, and what those are, and how they affect, and how many of these receptors there really are. So it's an exciting time to be involved with cannabis, there's no doubt about it, and it's an exciting time to know, you know, these powerful things like that you could consume phytocannabinoids and potentially put cancers into remission. That's a pretty incredible thing when you think probably everyone in this room has a story of losing a family member or a friend or a loved one to cancer. And while we were still knowledgeable and really into cannabis, but we didn't know what we know today. Simply that if you were hyperdose eating it, that you could potentially put your cancer in remission. That's so effing huge. I mean, my stepbrother could be alive today, right now. He died when he was 23 of melanoma, skin cancer, and it took him down pretty fast, 6 months from start to finish. I sometimes wonder if I would have been giving him phytocannabinoids in the form of hash-infused coconut oil, if he would be here today.
Well, I think it's, I mean, that inner honesty, that search, the just wanting to know the truth. So that's kind of why, you know, declaration and proclamation that this is it, I've got the solution, and let's just end history now at a point of knowledge. And I'm like, knowledge is an ever unrolling carpet. So when we go deeper, some people will find out, you know, I've done better than I thought, and a lot of people will find out I've done worse. I think, you know, like me, the way I look at my whole process, it's kind of like, will I survive the next time Jim goes on an Adam Dunn show and completely tears our mind apart when it comes to what we thought we knew about making medicine? So, you know, luckily I've just survived his breakthrough. So when I hear, don't forget the polar aspect and throw it in the trash, and I'm like, oh man, it's a good thing I was so worried about throwing things in the trash that I kept that polar aspect. I'm still on track, but you now see how 99% of all nonpolar extracts are missing that medicinal component forevermore, never to be discovered as valuable. If we all went
And
that
more
way.
so, what you notice is you realize what most of us have known for a long time, is that there is this sort of holy grail, which is nothing complex. It's the most simplest thing. You could put a bunch of weed in your mom's pantyhose and bash it against a mirror, and you'll get those mechanically separated gland heads laying on that mirror. Now, depending on how hard you want to get into decontamination from that level, you can really acquire a level of purity from something that was simply right in front of you the whole time. Thank you so much.
Well, it's that same thing, the delving in. You read, I'm like, oh my God, Jim delved in. There's a polar compound on the inside that doesn't get affected, but then if you screw with the inside on the outside, you know, involute, and all hell breaks loose. Within a hit that still has terp, still tastes great and can be less filling, but slowly will have just a slightly different tweak long-term effects-wise for our lungs. So more and more and more is to come, and it seems like as long as you're on that road of never-ending learning, you'll be okay, because you'll always be open to find out when those type of bombshells drop.
For sure. I was reading, a couple of people are asking me for links. Rather than try to reply to them, I'll just explain that I can't send links in the chat. It doesn't allow me to, but you're welcome to get in touch with me through Facebook. If you don't have a Facebook, I have no idea how you can send me a message. That's kind of how I'm doing it. So try to figure it out with me sometime during the week rather than right in the middle of the Mass Church. And now it's time for another bong rip.
That looks like a bit of a struggle to keep that on the screen, Tony.
What's that?
That looked like a bit of a struggle to keep that on the screen there, Tony.
It did indeed. Welcome, Del and Alexander. Del's over in Ontario, cannabis user and medical user, and Alexander is, of course, in Germany. He's one of the few people there that is being covered by his insurance companies to use cannabis, and he gets his cannabis through Bedrocan. He's holding up the things right there, and those are the Bedrocans. And if you can imagine, if I'm correct or not, I believe Alex goes through like 5 grams of that every day. Okay, 5 grams of that every day from Bedrocan is approximately, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, 200 euros? 100 euros.
120 euros each day.
Every day. Dude, that's like 3,500 euros a month.
How many milligrams is that a day that you're consuming?
1,000.
That costs
1,000 each day.
1,000 milligrams.
But I don't get stoned of this. I only get, I feel good from this. And more, 2,000 or 3,000, for me, the best is about 4,000 grams each day. 4,000 grams, and I feel it. This is a very good thing.
How are you consuming that?
I smoke it. I smoke the whole day. I smoke every day about 50 heads or something. I have 9 bongs, and I change my bong every 2 or 3 hours.
So do you eat it?
Eating. Yeah, but this eating is not so good for me, because when you eat a lot of them, you get as your mouth is not so good when I eat too much.
Okay. So, Alex, you only smoke it, correct?
I vaporize it, I smoke it, I eat it, I do everything with it.
So you
But
smoke.
normally I smoke it.
You smoke 14 grams a day then.
10 grams, about 10, 8 or 10 grams each day.
Okay, that 10 grams of flower that you're smoking or vaporizing. So when we talk about contamination and waste and use of medicine, it's the least effective use of that medicine, in the sense that that 10 grams is what Bubbleman has in his pocket. That's 1 gram. So that 10 grams of flowers is decontaminated down to 1 gram of trichomes. What we do is I then take that 1 gram and split that up into 80 pills, and those 80 pills are then split up into different ratios, and those different ratios are pinned for different times during the day and for different reasons. And so that 10 grams that you're smoking a day, you're losing about 78% of the medicine of what you could be doing. And then just from the capsuling, when we were talking about microdosing, you would then be able to take you would then be able to do 1/10 of what you're actually consuming. So you'd be able to spread 1 gram of bud in microdosing every hour and a half through your body, similar to how your lungs are reacting when you smoke it. But you'd save yourself a lot of money.
I don't need to pay it by my own. I get it paid. And the problem for me is I need to smoke so much because it's not so strong. I need to show everyone that Bedrocan is not the end for every sick person in Germany, because this medicine is not the strongest weed. It works, this is good weed, but in Amsterdam or everywhere you get stronger weed or different strains, or you can smoke wax and all this stuff, and this works better for me. And for me the best thing is to change everything what I smoke, and smoke in the morning wax and different strains for the day, because when I do this I only need 4 or 5 grams each day.
Sure. Well, you need a quiver, Alexander. That's what everyone needs. We need a quiver, and it's really interesting because I think Tony and the United Cannabis team through the River Rock and the work that they've done is really that they are building the ultimate quiver. It's just a quiver. It's not like, oh, this is better than yours. It's like, oh, if yours is good too, let's throw it in the quiver. Like, let's get it in there. Let's get it out to the people.
I want to try everything. This is my problem. I want to try everything that is with THC or CBD. The problem is, from this I need so many, because there is not much CBD inside. In this grass. There is only I don't know, not many CBD, and I need CBD because I got a lot of pain. My shoulder doesn't work, and my spinal was broken, and all this. I had a big car accident because
John's in the same boat. John's in the same boat, and he uses high THC. Have you heard about John's story?
And amino acids, natural supplements. Send me a link. Go to my Facebook, and I'll send you some information.
Yeah, he'll send you some information on amino acids, Alexander. I think it would be good for you anyway to just, you know, like I said, the metaphor of building a quiver. You've got your Bedrocan herb. It's a good start, but, you know, maybe you'll be one of the people in Germany to help push this into the media to say that, you know, we need more than just a single thing. We need the quiver.
And this is what I want to show the people in Germany, that I need more medicine, other medicine, different medicine, not only this weed. Because of this, I smoke so much of them every day.
Yeah,
this is awesome.
Hey, welcome, D.
Well, welcome, Alex, since your medication is being paid, why can't you refine it down so that you have even a basic 50-50 with some type of hash? It seems like you're only proving the side effects of filtering tons and tons of Bedrocan box weed through your body to get at your medicine. And the more and more you smoke to get at your medicine, you're just becoming ill with side effects of weed that you're also complaining isn't grown with the best of integrity. So, I mean, you're putting yourself on the line by running so much through you. If it is insured, make hash.
I make everything, and I drive to Amsterdam this month to the cup. There is a nice cup, the Dabadoo, and I want to try everything there because I want to find the best medicine for me. I want to try everything that is with THC inside or something because I got pain every day, and I also want to show the people that Bedrocan, this is the only thing that we can get in Germany, Bedrocan weed. And I also want to show the state and all the doctors that this is not the end for us because there is so many different oil and wax and all this stuff. And I didn't try this.
Well,
And there
I'll only
is
say
no
this.
legal way to get this in Germany.
Yeah, exactly. No legal way. I was going to say, because when
And
you said
Scotland.
this is the only weed we can get in Germany, I thought I've been to Germany before. I saw big bags of weed and hash, but not legally. So what's going on with Brindle Farms?
Lots of building, lots of attempts to make bubble hash.
Whipping up the hashish?
Still not liking the yield though, but call me a prohibitionist.
Well, it's just a prohibition model that you've been under most of your cannabis life, so it's like it makes sense that we would all have that model in us because we were taught about how much can I get and how fast can I get it. Once you kind of escape that mindset, you can really expand what you can get done. But I mean, I'm telling you, the prohibition-based model was put there not so we could make a bunch of money off of pot, but to keep us from really getting out and educating the whole world about what we're trying to do here. It just kept us in a little bubble. Everyone was happy to protect their bubble because they were like, oh, I'm getting 20% and I'm getting this much for it. And I think it's really a reason why the oil is so popular in the community right now is because it gives people their profit margin back that they lost when all of these dispensaries came out and when all of these people got federal licenses and the price of herb went through the floor. People were like, wow, I can't make money selling weed anymore, which is kind of funny when you think of it because the tomato farmer's still getting $3 a pound and he's making money. But you know, cannabis growers that are only getting $1,400 a pound, they're pretty choked about it. They're like, fuck, man, I used to get 31. So I don't really know how to break it down other than once we remove ourselves from that prohibition-based model, I think we're going to have a lot more opportunity open to us. And it's kind of what I see with companies like UCAN, you know, just like breaking out of the prohibition-based model and breaking into the, you know,
Real world.
excuse me, into
Well, hopefully I can purchase my affordable bubble hash from you soon.
What's that? Oh man, I wish I could make hash for anyone. You know what I mean? If I was allowed, if there was like, I mean, I can make it for myself and I can help my friends like John and D420K and anyone else that wants to know methods. I just tell them they figure it out real quick and they've got. To me, those methods of purification are so important because they tell you whether you have quality material. And everyone thinks they have quality material because it's attached to our ego, and it's a bit of what I would call like cognitive dissonance, where we kind of believe what we want to believe based on our own belief systems, and most people think what they have is the best. And I've seen it time and time again where you show someone something much better than what they have, and they're like, whoa, I never knew something like this existed. And if we can all just admit that that's always right around the corner, then we'll realize that the sharing of this knowledge is essential, and that everyone's experience in it is valid, because you never know where you're going to find that little blip that takes us all to the next level in our knowledge and understanding, or overstanding, as my Rastafarian friends like to say.
Yeah. So what was the patient's name?
The German fellow?
Yes.
Alexander.
So Alexander, imagine that you could actually have a sublingual that had whatever type of ratio you wanted in combination of strains that delivered a 99% effectiveness of that combination. So this one, in a sense, is a 3-to-1 CBD to THC A, and these are inactive. These are all inactives. So you could have THC, you could have CBD to THC in any ratio, you could have 1-to-1s, and then you could have CBD and CBN, and they're all separated into different sublinguals. So that
please send me your address and your contact date, and I will send you money and I will try it. No problem. I like to try this, and this looks very nice. And you can send it me by post, and I show my state, hey, this is medicine for me, no problem. Because this is real medicine, and you can send it to me. This is no problem. I'm a legal cannabis user in Germany, and if you send it to me, and someone from the state says, oh, someone sends you cannabis, yeah, this is my medicine, no problem. This is legal. When I can pay for it, everything is legal, no problem.
Just not on his end. The problem would be on his end, Alexander, where the U.S. government would not allow him to ship cannabis products.
Yes.
So yeah, this is the so check this out. That's the dilemma. I can't even help somebody in Kansas or Michigan or Florida or a state next to me. So the whole idea is that you have to start over and recreate that from seed to sale in every isolated state to help individuals in those states, because they don't even allow us to cross borders here.
But this is the thing what I do. I drive to other countries and to find new ways to bring my medicine there, or to bring medicine from there to Germany. I was also in Vienna last month to bring these flowers to the people in Vienna, because they got no flowers there. They got plants there and everything, but they got no flowers. They got these products and everything, but they cannot smoke only flowers. And
hey, Alexander, I saw you on Remo's channel.
Yeah, I've seen him there. He's a nice guy.
That was really good to see you on there. I was like, oh, Remo found Alexander. Right on.
And I also drive to Amsterdam this month to try a lot of wax, oil, and all this stuff. And when I come back to Germany, I go to my doctor and told him what I do. I say I was last weekend in Amsterdam and smoked this, and this works very good for me. And I need this as medicine. I don't need 5 grams of Bedrocan every day. I need this other medicine because this is stronger, better. I can put it inside of a pill or something. And maybe next summer I drive to Canada and to America, taste all the stuff, because I want to bring something to Germany. Because if this work is done, I don't drive anywhere. I want to bring cotton candy to Germany. I seen a picture from medical cotton candy, and I like to bring this to Germany, because I think this is the best way to get your medicine, to get it with cotton candy. This is a dream for me.
That's cool. Yeah, someone's asking for the link. They're talking about the screens, and it's like, no. If you can't find the screens on Fresh Headies, I'm sorry, dude. I literally just Googled it. I went right to the screens. I went to the dry sift systems on the left, and it's right there. They're called medium, not small. The mediums are the smalls, so you're probably just confused as to how they're named. But the screens are all there. All the screens we sell are up on Fresh Headies, and I just wanted to sort of let people know that, because I'm getting all sorts of people asking in the link. And no, I have not spoken with Dr. Atomic lately. He's been quite busy. Hopefully we'll get him down to Hash Church one of these days. I know everyone enjoyed hearing from the doc. Always kind of a pleasure. Well, I guess it's time to take another rip on the Brandon Maton.
Can I ask if Johnny knows where the best place is to get the really good hemp seeds?
Hemp seeds?
Yeah.
Well, you
like
can order
best
them right off the internet, but probably you're in Scotland. You could get some local, but like I just mentioned, the company in Canada that I would support is the company that came out of the group of friends of mine that we got hemp growing in Manitoba, and that's called Manitoba Harvest. So you
Right.
can
But I
Google
can tell you something. I'm also from Europe. I can tell you something. Listen to a track in YouTube. There is a track from Maccabi. It's called Medical Marijuana Card. It's sponsored from company Herbicides. You can call them maybe. This is they come from England.
Excellent.
Oh,
There
right.
you go. Nice and close. Closer, anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, you'll find it local for sure. A lot of the hemp seeds, even that are grown in Manitoba, were all originally imported from European countries.
This is an 18 to 1 subcritical CO2. This is 5 grams. This is 18 to 1 CBD. 18
Wow, it
to
looks
1.
like is it red?
No, it's a light amber.
Okay.
It's more on the clearish amber color.
I need also contact to the States and to Canada, to doctors, because I want to send my papers there and get an American medical card. Because when I fly to America, I like also to use this because I get this paid 3,600 euros every month, and because I think I can taste many different medicines.
Be careful about that declaration. It's not an American medical card. It's like only some small parts, but it's not America or Canada.
But here in Jamaica, they also make. There is a doctor, and he grows also weed now. I heard this. It's now also legal for medical marijuana in Jamaica.
There's
Is
the
this
one
true?
doctor, but it's not. He's not a store that He's not for the public, in that sense, is what I mean.
And I need doctors. And I need doctors in every country because the doctors say go to this place and taste this because I want to find the best medicine for me because this is what I'm doing.
Well, take advantage of your European Union. They are more accepting of different countries' rules. Or Canada and the U.S., we're not accepting of each other right now.
Well, Canada's a little bit more, I would say that it's a little different because I've had American friends, more than one, Steve Cubby being one of them. And Steve Cubby had a license here back in like the late or early 2000s when our program really just started. He was an American living here. He was not a Canadian citizen. And he acquired his license, no problem, as did another few American friends of mine who were also not even living here with any sort of special work permit or anything. So I am certain, Alexander, that if you had your doctor contact a doctor here, you would easily be able to get a prescription, and a prescription here would allow you to buy herb from Tilray while you were here, and your dollar would go a little bit further in the sense that the euro versus the Canadian dollar would probably give you another 35 to 40% more cannabis if you bought it off of a Canadian LP with that same amount of euros. And I mean, if you do that while you're here, I suspect what we should do is we should turn it into hash, because wouldn't that be fun? Buy a big chunk of like Tilray weed or something, and then you and I'll do a little video. We'll get Horatio and some other, you know, Johnny B and D420K, and we'll just turn it all into hash. It'd be pretty good, I think.
Well, that's a way to work it.
I also need to learn this because in Germany it's I look for a sift. I don't find a very good sift. I only find medical sifts, and that cost me 1,000 euros for sifts. And to look for something, 1,000 euro. Hey, sorry, I'm a poor person. I'm not a rich person. Sorry for that. 1,000 euros for
Hey,
looking
Alexander.
something.
Hey, Alexander, I have a good idea. What if I sent you a kit of these screens here?
Maybe 2 days later when I get it, I send you a video. when I use this?
Yeah, I'll send you.
I'd be interested in those screens.
I'll send you a 4-screen set as a gift because I know you're hurting and you're trying to access medicine a little bit better, and that way you can play around. It's a 4-screen system. 2 of the screens are the 2 I just showed you. They're a 90 LPI and a 60 LPI. And if I just turn it around real quick here, I could actually give you a little bit of a kind of, let's see if we can get this turned around here, and I can talk to you guys from over here. So, what we have is we have 2 2-foot by 1 screens. I'll get this camera on myself so they can see. So these are the screens right here. I've only got the 2 set right here, but what I'm going to send Alexander is 4. And so this is the 90 and the 60. You see the 90 goes on the bottom, and the 60 goes on the top. And why that's crucial to understand is that the 60 is actually the larger hole, and the 90 is actually the smaller hole. So how this trick works is you basically have, you take your herb, you know, I don't have any really here now. That's not true. I always have herb. What am I saying? All right, so you take your herb.
You use it to dry it. You herb on top.
Right? You throw your herb down on the screen real gentle. You'll like this trick because it's super easy. So just throwing the herb down like that, just gently throwing it down, because the 2 screens have a small distance between them, okay? What happens is the glandular trichome heads fall straight down through the 2 sets of screens because the holes are so big, 250 microns and 180 microns. These are very big screen holes for dry sifting. Most people will do an initial sift with like a 160 micron. So these big screens work in our favor by allowing everything to fall really fast. The heads go right down to the bottom, and the contaminant tends to sway like this. And as it's swaying, it usually gets trapped, and I'll show you what it's done. It's trapped a bunch of hash. Now that might look good, but as you get closer, I don't know if you guys can see it, it's really just contaminant, and some of it is sticking out of the screen much like a small plant. So on the bottom, what you end up with, and if I can find my trusty badger hair brush, on the bottom what you end up with is just the pure headies. So this is a very simple method for someone who really doesn't have much knowledge when it comes to dry sifting. You can do it over and over again. You can have these screens sitting on your table like this all the time. And this is just one simple trick that you'll find really useful. And you don't even have to break the buds up the first time or the second time. Now the second set of screens is a little bit different, and I'll try to show you those. Let me see if I can get my camera to move. I've got my hard drives all attached, and they don't want to spin as nicely as they should be. So over here is the extraction screen that you'd get in this size. This is 110 lines per inch, which is about 160 micron, and then you'll get this particular screen, which if you can see on camera, it's broken right now. I ended up cutting the whole screen open. But because I put them on with such force and it's glued all the way around, that you're able to still use a big chunk of the screen that's not ripped. So this here is your 70 micron screen, and this particular screen is what I use for cleaning the hash. And how I clean the hash, I'm going to give you guys a real quick little lesson on how I clean the hash, just real quick. So I've got some super silver, sweet skunk sift right here. It's not your most potent or powerful. It's what I call a single screen farmer's grade. And I've got a 250 micron Fieldmaster metal screen dish. You can get these at fieldmaster.com. And all I do with this is I take this particular hash, and I'll run it. First, I'll make sure my screen's real clean, because the whole purpose of this is to clean the hash, not make it dirtier. So, I pour all the hash into the 250 screen, and then I gently brush it through the screen. Now, it looks like beautiful, super clean, really tasty looking dry sift. However, I guarantee when I get to the bottom, there's going to be some stuff in here that I don't want. And this works because the screen hole is so big that the brush has no problem pushing the hash through the holes. Now let's just get this a little bit more. Okay. I'll show you what we cleaned out. So, now, what we cleaned out here is utter and total contaminant schwaggles. I know you guys can't see very well, so I'm going to make a point on potentially taking a picture of this with the macro lens, because really, if I can explain it to you guys, all it is like cystolith hairs, chunks of greenery that you couldn't even see in the golden keef, and that all came out in all of 1.5 minutes that it took me to run that sift through that mill. This is just like the process of getting your flour ready. If you're about to make bake some bread or some sort of a treat or whatever, you want to mill the flour. If it has any moisture in it, if it's acquired anything that's contaminant, you just run it through a fine screen like a 250, which also, Alexander, you'll be getting a 250 micron. That is the 60 micron screen. So you don't even need to get that colander. You can use the 250 screen. Just get yourself a brush so you can push the single grade, farmer's grade sift, push it through the 250, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to collect that hash because there's way too much on the screen. I'm going to lift it up with the scooper, put it back in its jar, and then I'll take it out 0.5 gram at a time, and I'll start carding it gently over that large screen. The smaller amount I use, I find it to be more effective in pushing contaminant through. Of course, it being cold is important as well. You don't want to do this in too warm of conditions. And yeah, I think that was just a quick little hash church 101 there. I think I'm going to drink some water and puff a bowl now.
Wow, thanks a lot. But that looks very, very good. Because you cannot get this in Germany. It's only it only starts to make all this stuff, oil and wax. This starts only, and it's not allowed in Germany because it's only only everything undercover.
Well, all that I require of you, Alexander, is that you send my manager at bubblebag.com, which I'll put in the link for you, so you don't have to misunderstand my pronunciation or anything. Manager at bubblebag.com, and just send your address and request the medium screen 4-screen set as gifted by Bubbleman. They'll confirm with me by text, and they'll have those sent out to you. Oh, I suspect in the next week or so. We might have them shipped locally from Europe, or we might have them shipped from overseas, but either way we'll put that it's a gift, and we'll make a point on not putting the value of the screens on, so you don't get some ridiculous $42 VAT bill, because that's
Thank you a lot.
Yeah, man, no problem. Happy to help. What it's all about, helping each other out, and we've got 240 people listening right now and paying attention to us. So, if anyone wants to share their stories or has something that they've been itching to say, by all means, go to town. We're happy to hear from everyone.
Good morning, Bubbleman.
Hey, how you doing?
Oh,
How you
sorry.
doing, Gal?
I'm not doing too bad this morning. A few aches and pains from playing hockey, but just had some Reese's or peanut butter cup, medicated peanut butter cup, and put some Salva cream on the knee, and starting to feel a little bit better. I have a question for you, though, as a person who has a limited means of stuff and would like to make some hash. Would those would that be the screen to set to start with? That 4 set? That
for dry sifting.
Yes.
Yeah. For dry sifting, it sure is, Del.
Okay. Perfect. Christmas is coming up, so you know.
I mean, I'd send you a set, but I did just send you an Apex pen.
Oh, hey, no, brother. I'm more than willing to buy a set of those. I just was
I
trying
know.
to decide which was the first set to start with. So, and until I can actually grow, I have to have limited means. So it's not like I'll be putting a lot through them until I can get more material, obviously.
You know, it's nice to have out on the table. You just toss the buds across and then lift them up and collect that bottom screen. I didn't show the trick, but you can lift up the top screen and then flick that screen, and usually you'll drop a nice amount of heads and get a sort of B grade, which is more like along the 80% range of pure headies. But it's definitely an easy trick for people to acquire just small amounts of nice purity. And then I really tell people, if you want to be serious about it, you know, you get the larger screens and you start using the 150 and the 70 to extract and card. Carding can give you a real good amount.
Well, I would really like to get away from using concentrates and stuff like that. And obviously, if I use my money on base material to start with and turn it in, then it's probably going to be about the same, but so much better for me. So obviously, with watching you has enlightened me to get away from the way I'm doing things, and even with the little bit I have to put towards that. So that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a good thing.
And with learning to eat it daily as a regular dosage, kind of like what Tony was saying there, you just have it in your system more regularly than taking it all at once, or I just find with the inflammation and things like that, that having small doses maybe more times during the day keeps it at bay, like regular medicine.
Exactly, man. 100%. And not just as a medicine, but as a preventative. I wish we could have got Dr. David Allen in here to talk a little bit about the preventative effects of phytocannabinoids, but we'll talk about it one of these weeks. We'll get him in here.
I got a question for Tony. For people who are, again, this is their first delve into isolation, whether it's dry cis or bubble, you've done enough testing on the different microns. Is there any kind of general sense of an isolation between the mesh sizes, like when you're testing Jib's work, like, you know, analytically, that they could go off of and follow for saying, like, well, I know the morning high typically comes from, even in an indica, a better morning high would come from the 70, and my nighttime high will come from smoking a 160. Like, is there any actual data when it comes to pretty much home isolation? That's the first level of home isolation that people can actually do.
Well, I think there's a parallel situation going on there. Is when you look at an indica plant and it grows a certain type of trichome head size, it's harvested at a certain point in time, and there's a certain formation to that. So when you go to isolate that with the different bags, you tend to see yields in those particular bags based on the way that those trichome heads were grown. And then in the sativas, it tends to be a lot longer. It tends to be a more elegant type of trichome head, and those tend to end up in a different type of bag. And then terpenes are playing a big role into how they interact with that particular THC once you start to apply heat to it when you're vaporizing it or smoking it. So I think really what it comes to is the terpene profile of that particular strain that happens to match the indica, that happens to be grown a certain way, would happen to be all in certain bags. And I think that would agree to what a lot of the stuff that Bubbleman will tell you about when he says, okay, I'm going to run a sativa strain where he sees a lot of the yields versus on an indica strain. I think that's what's contributing to it.
Absolutely, and I would only add that the only real thing I've seen over and over and over again consistently that I would almost guarantee a GC would back me up on is that the 45 micron seems to be rich in these terpenes that want to ignite and light. And now I don't know if that's because of the ratio that they have. I really smell those terps in
The biggest
any
yield
strain
bag.
of 45. What's that, Tony?
I said it's usually, generally for us, it's the biggest yielding bag, especially on our greenhouse stuff. And it is coming up, and it is, everything we test 45 has a lot more substance, if you will, than anything else.
It doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, it's backed. That I could tell you from all of our testing for sure. That's backed up, what you're saying.
Awesome. Well, there you go.
Okay, because yeah, I thought about, like, me and John were talking, and I'm like, well, look, if these micron bags were like me picking my berries and then isolating them for winemaking, and every micron bag represents a phase in the year, that's kind of why I was like, well, the yield can show up in multiple places depending on, you know, the sativa or the indica. But then John tells me the story of letting his plant go to 99 days, and all of what you would typically have cut at day 70 or something and would have ended up in this bag, it all ballooned according to, this is, I guess, a dual question for you as well, Mark. He said that when you extracted it, the trichome heads were, like, you could say abnormally large, and the yield shifted over an extended ripening period, which would be like when I let grapes ferment on the actual plant and then harvest for a unique type of wine that's active while I'm processing it.
Yeah, well, there's definitely something to say for that, because the head that's, like, you know, bursting with the moisture and fresh livity is definitely, they're all just like buds, going to dry differently. You know what I mean? Depending on their ratios in those heads and how much moisture there is in the wax membrane. It's a micron difference that can shift things to one bag to another, and it's why I'm always interested in adding. It's why I was always interested in adding more bags, and why I wouldn't be surprised in the future from bubble bags if you see us start adding some other bags in those ranges to hone in. I mean, we did play with a lot of different size bags. Picking the ones, absolutely. In picking the ones that we have, we chose a lot of different screens to find the ones we picked, but the area, who knows, maybe we could get more honed in. I definitely love the fact that with dry sift and with wet wash, we can separate out the gland heads by their micron diameter.
Yeah, it's just his comment of the 99 days made me go, like, I'll grow everything to 99 days. It sounds like there's something abnormally unique per strain in this hyper-swollen developed head. So I was like, well, I'll show up and tell somebody I've got a 160 and everyone will walk away, and it just happens to be where the yield came up. So that's kind of why, for people who are, you know, like Tony, who can isolate, and you who can isolate purely, where your yield is ends up being true yield versus where your contaminant is. So that's kind of what I wanted to get a sense of, how the growing can change the whole science when we get out of a commercial mindset.
Excellent. Well, I'm down with puffing a giant bowl while we discuss that more. Here's a Flav piece, Marcel Phoenix Octo Bubbler.
Bone rip.
I have to go put some water in this. The thing takes like a liter, but you guys discuss bong rips amongst yourselves, and I'm going to be back to have a big old rip of this this pipe with you guys.
It looks pretty nice.
So what Horatio is referring to is I took a Medi Kush about a year ago to 99 days. Darrin, you might remember this too, and I dry sifted it, and we looked at it, and I think we took some pictures of it too. And the heads, but they were just, it was so flavorful, it almost went like a Fruit Loopy. And it was just the way the strain just kept going. I just let it keep going. I just left it in the room. So this is the Medi Kush, and I've done it on day 62, day 79, all the way through, and we're just kind of determining where I would say 73 is my medicine, and then with certain dry sifting, it's the same thing, like the first bounce and how it affects me and stuff like that. So what we're referring to is trying to actually taking a look at the strain, and as the longer I take it, am I still getting the same effects from the 73 if I take it 99 days or if it's 63 days? And it's just going to take some work of what I'm looking at, because I'd be curious to know if there's different days on day 63 to day 71 to day 99, if all of those heads are different medicinal values, which are the ones that I'm targeting specifically for, say, chronic pain or different condition? I mean, there's so much more we ain't even looking at this plan about. So this is what me and Horatio have been talking about when we came back. So we're just kind of looking at, and that's why we're talking about this right now. It'd be really interesting to see over time, start taking a look at the days of the plant, the trichome heads, and exactly if we could take a better look at, I mean, the CBD to THC ratios in those particular heads on those particular days would be very interesting to see. In the future, who knows, right? So.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is, if it's, you know, 1,000 square foot room and it's all taken at day 99, it also, I'm looking at it, I'm like, well, I think those extra days could, if it meant 20% more yield of a pharmaceutically valuable product, it's not a lot of time. Or in a guy's closet, I see how day 99 seems like forever, but all I hear is that we don't understand when the plant is dead and when it stops producing the active medicine versus pretty leaves.
In the past, no matter how long, if it's going to be alive, it's going to keep producing new trichomes, new glandular heads, so you're always going to get more ones that are cured, more ones that are 50-50, ones that are fresh. That's why we get the different colors all the time, and what I understand, what I'm learning. So
I gotta put the seat up to fucking hit this pipe. It's so tall. So this is also going to be in Amsterdam during the Cannabis Cup. If you guys are around, come check it out at the Dampkring. This one actually may be entered in the High Times Cannabis Cup, in which case it would not be at the Dampkring. Look at the Radicello line work. If you notice all the Radicello line work, and I can get it closer, you'll see that what Marcel's done is he's trapped air bubbles in between every line. It's an Italian technique called air trapping. I don't know if the camera picks it up, but there's a tiny little air bubble in between every single crossover line of the entire pipe. It's why this pipe is also, you know, a $20,000+ bubbler. Very big, old school bubbler, no carb. Turns into a phoenix at the top, and the phoenix whole body is air trapping work. And then it's got a beautiful Radicello push donut sort of thing happening. Not donut, but disc flip, or I guess what you call it. Beautiful work nonetheless. I don't pretend to be the top knowledge glass aficionado term guy. There's more terms than I can understand, but I do understand how to pack and load this thing. So why don't we load up some Sweet Skunk Firsts. Absolute 99.99999% Terpenes. And really, it's what a piece of this quality deserves. I got to thank again Flab421 for hooking it up. It's very, very generous of you, my friend. I'm going to pull out a new pack of matches for this particular beast. We're going to go with another pack from HQ. La gauche, la droite. The left, the right. Everyone loaded up? Are we ready to puff?
Yep.
All right.
We'll do one more rip with you guys, and then I think we're going to take off and grab some breakfast here. So.
Awesome, dude. Well, I'm definitely down to have a rip with you, Brandon. Do it. Here we go.
Yeah, that barber bud is something else.
I've been hearing about that barb for 11 months.
Well, you puffed it in Spain, though? No?
Yeah, 11 months ago.
That's hilarious.
That was the last time I got to taste it.
January, February, March.
Yeah, it's just so fruity. Everyone here thought it was a sativa last night. It's so fruity.
That's got a good flavor. I'll tell you, I hit Flab yesterday. I'm going to release a video today where we hit all these pipes. and I hit him with the barb, and I hit him with the sweet skunk, but then I hit him with the tiniest little bit of Renee's CBD that I have that is just so fucking tasty. I'm telling you, I have no idea of any cannabinoid profiles. He named it Renee CBD. I do not know if that means it has a big, high Renee or CBD factor or ratio, but I'll tell you, whatever the terpenes are, actually, why don't we find out what the terpenes are? I think I have Matt's terpene sheet over here somewhere. If I'm not correct.
Before you dig into that, I'll say see you later, guys. Everyone have a great day.
Yes.
Mark, if you get a chance, feel free to stop by with some glass, man. We'll be around all weekend. Well,
okay.
Anyway, so.
We'll talk. We'll talk for sure, Brandon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for coming in.
All right, everyone have a good day.
Afghani tea. Is tea Renee? Pinene, 52%. Now that's percent of terpenes present, not percent of the cannabinoid profile, or even the entire glandular trichome head. This is just the percentage of terpenes. Pinene and ocimene and myrcene are often in very high percentages of the Great Gardener strains. He's got the PR, which I'm guessing is the Renee crossed with, it'll have something to do with how it was dried, I think. So this particular Renee is 56% ocimene and 16% D-limonene, Horatio's favorite. And then it's got a guaiol, 2.9%. It's got 5.1 of pinene B, which is a negative B, and then there's 1% of B pinene. It's interesting. I wouldn't mind learning more about how they do these terpene profiles. Here's his Hayoma, and I believe the Hayoma is a cross of his Afghani with another strain. This one has 22% of that negative B pinene, but 44% of ocimene. I'll show that up to the camera if you guys want to check it out.
Yeah, no, that ocimene is a less common terp in the, you could say, the younger guys' weed choices. So it's why his stuff then comes out with that uniqueness, because it's a pretty healing type terp. I mean, they all are healing, but it's just like, you know, earthy tones. If you can get them in large volumes, they have a significant effect.
I like these three that I have here. These are the Great Gardener's Afghani, and then it has the Cannatonic, and it shows you the two profiles of those. But then he's got his Afghani Cannatonic cross, and you can kind of see what it did with the two profiles and how it sort of produced this other unique third and completely, you know, obviously the cross of the two strains. It's interesting. High pinene, terpenoline in the original. That Afghani has a high terpenoline content, whereas the Afghani Cannatonic has literally 0. Valicine. Valencine, he's got 11% Valencine in his Afghani. That's Valencia. That's like an orange terpene, you know? DN, Selena 3, DN, that's 13% in the Afghani, and it maintains almost 10% in the Afghani Cannatonic, whereas the Cannatonic itself had, 0 of it, I believe. Let's see, D-Lean. Valencine and diene, Selena diene. Oh yeah, no, it has 5.8% the Cannatonic, and it had 13% Afghani, 5% Cannatonic. They both had Selena diene, and Selena diene is 10% on the Afghani. So that literally stayed the same. I don't pretend to know what any of it means, but it's interesting to see in the profiles, and I look forward to more terpene work being done with more breeders. And I guess really ideally what I look forward to is being able to make hash that then has access to be lab tested and find out what all the different micron increments of the hash that I'm isolating. I guess I should say isolating hash, not making hash. Growers make hash.
And for it to be consumed and able to be bought by consumers, around the whole globe, around the whole globe.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Question for
Yeah.
Tony. Alexander asks, are your medicines made with less ethol?
I don't know what lesethol is.
So then that answer would be absolutely not.
Well, I'm just wondering if it's another enunciation of soy lecithin. I can't even say the other way, lecithin. That's what I was wondering. I'd have to look up.
This is made from water.
Lesitol is a medical stuff that they say they put everything out from the cannabis and make it stronger. They make in other countries in Europe, they make drops from it.
Yeah,
And because
GMO.
of this, I ask you. Because this works not for my pain. For my pain only works the plant. Everything made chemical doesn't work for me because my kidneys are not working and my liver is also not right because I take a lot of years, many other medicals, and this makes my kidneys not good. And when I smoke cannabis, just the pure plant, everything is okay, and all the stuff from the plant works good, but mix it with the chemical stuff. Oh, whoa, this is danger for me.
I just looked it up. Lethosol is bad. It's bad. I mean, the best analogy would be like me cutting Sativex into bud and drizzling it onto bud. It's a synthetic way of getting at THC, but in a weird way. No, Tony's. I don't know anybody in North America that would be dabbling in that, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I know that I'm pretty sure that he uses like terpenes for his sublingual drops or something like that. It's definitely not like glycol or glycerin or whatever.
But did you see after last week when we had we had a little glycol, propylene glycol discussion, and then the next day, that whiskey was banned for having the same stuff in the vape pens. Did they ban it or did they just slow it down?
No, actually, that complex, whatever it is, that is actually on my bottles right here. It's not illegal in any way. This is from the UK, and that has what you were saying in it.
No, I know. It's the fact that when you put it in a drink and consume it, it gets banned, but no one's noticed if you vaporize copious amounts of it. There's just no studies on the effects long term, so they haven't made the link yet mentally.
So, I'll answer the question. That's all right. So you want to know what's in it. So that's subcritical, 18 to 1, right? This is a plant fat. This plant fat. Better than coconut oil. And that makes this.
Is that a natural plant fat or like an MCT, like a concoction?
This is a natural plant fat. This is non-GMO. This is no glycerin. This is no alcohol. These are terpenes. So these are all natural, derived from water. That's it. Oh, and then to sweeten it. That's it.
A little stevia.
He has the stuff, guys. He has the stuff.
It's how you use it, though. It's what's inside this, and how you use it is what matters. Right? It's not like a chemical or anything like that. It's a really natural, fast way to absorb into your body, and it's all about how you use it and the combination of how you're using it.
Because I only ask, I don't want to say bad things about your product. I only ask because I try a lot of stuff. I try dronabinol. This is made with oil and just dronabinol. This is like crystals. They made crystals from cannabis, and the crystals they mix it in oil, and this also not works. And I try Sativex. This is made with alcohol, and this tastes very bad, and the alcohol is also very bad. It burns in my mouth and all this stuff, because when I see other products, I always ask.
Yeah, of course. Everyone does.
I think I mean, it's because your European market actually has a more developed pharmaceutical end before even having any, man-to-man people, and that a lot of strange concoctions have been legalized, like your dronabinol and your Sativex, and then they get passed off as commonly takeable when it's the farthest thing from, I guess, anything we're developing. So, I hear you, but at the same time, I'm like, I guess, yeah, we're really far from that. With what Tony's talking about, it's steam. It's not turning THC into an acetate crystal so that you can dose it out and recombobulate it in a sauce like dronabinol. That makes for radical side effects.
Yeah, super radical side effects. So the whole thing that I did was I developed a full spectrum P1, 2, 3, 4 that's in capsule, that's in microdosing. So you can have them in inactive and active forms. And so it covers the full spectrum of being able to combine them, individualize them, or have patient-driven programs that work for, say, autism or epilepsy. So there's pharmacokinetics, cannabis pharmacokinetics, how long active stays in the blood or stays in the liver, stays in the brain. So you can do those analytics on patient observationals, and that's why we've created the software. So that way they're patient-driven solutions. So I'm not just like making it up out of nowhere. I'm just collecting data of hundreds and hundreds of the same type of patient, so that way we can duplicate that program for people. Because if you're able to get 75 to 90% of effectiveness in managing something like autism, wouldn't you want to help out thousands and thousands of patients that have the same problem? So the whole mission and the whole idea of what we're trying to do is truly plant-based medicine. So it's phytotherapeutic, and phytotherapeutic can be used for prevention, management, and one day in the future, regenerative. You know?
I know. I guess another question.
I did want to say one thing though, man. When we were talking about polarity, so now let's take that one step further. So when you're playing the chords of polarity, non-polar, polar, and semi-polar elements of the plant, think about disease and how that reflects in pH, and having a higher pH, gravitating towards raws and foods and things that are not below 6.0, because that's also part of the program. And so that's keeping the pH. And what pH and polarity and the foods that you eat have a strong synergistic effect on the way our body keeps homeostasis. And that's exactly why this works with our endocannabinoid system.
Hey, preach, brother, preach!
You read my literal question is, now with all your experience in the greenhouse, are you finding that you might have to develop a nutritional program that you can control in order to get those other balanced factors that go into a program under your control in order to achieve better results, in which you can say, well, look, the basic herbal recipe for the average person's diet, we grew lettuce, we grew tomatoes, we grew this, and we found that these common things that we knew from growing cannabis turned out to make those, when you read about it in literature, actually work. Because I find when people read something like, well, this terpene is going to help, like your osamine, I'm like, well, that's in basils, and I can see all the therapeutic things basils do. So I get what Great Gardner, was subtly doing through his medicine. But if I was to then extract Great Gardner's work and pair it with basil in someone's diet, would I have to grow it myself just because all the things I know about, you could say, plants that take the shape of food but don't carry the nutritional potency? Just like there's buds that are big and fluffy, but it's what's in the trichome that counts.
Yeah, so I think that if I were to be a tracker of medicinal plants, and I looked at the earth and I looked at it in wind currents, then I would, and I looked at where is the best place for basil to grow. Is it high in the mountains? Is it low to the equator? Where's that sweet spot? And then you find out, okay, these are the particular areas in the world where basil grows perfectly. It creates this perfect sweet basil. And there's that particular terpene that goes with that particular sun profile because of the long day or the short day. So if you're in an area that has 13 hours or 11 hours, and it has to do with the altitude, it has to do with the temperature, it has to do with the moisture, it has to do with a combination of the soil, it has all your environmental conditions. So if you were to follow those pathways around the world of different medicinal plants, then you would find certain areas in the world that you would want to grow or breed certain types of plants. Therefore, cannabis kind of is one of those plants that's inherently been all around the world and been around for over 30 million years. It survived natural catastrophic events on Earth, even when populations were brought down to, sea populations were brought down to 97% failure. So it's been around, it survived, it possesses every terpene profile that every fruit and vegetable on Earth has, and so characteristics that are expressed will surely be stronger in different areas. We grow 280 strains under the Colorado sun just to see what those things would do and see what each one of those variables would do. And so you have to keep a certain environment. And so our greenhouse is climate controlled, environmental controlled. It has heating, cooling, CO2. So it maintains a certain particular atmosphere and a certain environment. So it's only going to breed a certain type of cannabinoid profile based on the sun cycle. So we do get 2 or 3 different types of crops. We actually get 4 in a year, but you'll see 2 or 3 different types throughout the year. Like in the wintertime, we tend to grow a lot of our CBD strains. We do grow a lot of them in the summertime, but we tend to just overflow the greenhouses with CBD at that time because it's going to be a little weaker of a sun. You're not going to get the yield you're looking for out of an OG that you would in summertime in those type of yields. So what we do is we kind of just let it grow a little wild and let it grow so there's more surface area. So when we extract CBD, we have enough CBD blends and ratios to last, say, 6 months. So you get gallons worth of plant extracts at a time. And so that's when you start to deal with it in its real medicine form. And so that's when you start testing everything, you start to see that. And so I think that if you took, a strain that wanted to be, say, in Jamaica and you put it in Switzerland or Colorado, you would have similar genetic looking traits. It would smell similar, but I don't think you would see the expressed genes as well as you would when it's in its own home. So with that being said, we still grow them all out in the same sun, in the same environment, and we ideally, it's all medicine for us. And so as we expand, that's kind of been the exciting part, is there's certain territories that I feel strong about, not just that can help states that can help more patients, but also to create different types of standardization for that resin or medicine. So Colorado is going to produce a different medicine than, say, Jamaica would, or even Canada. You would have completely different types of greenhouse cultivation, which would express different types of cannabinoid ratios, and then you'd have to know how to extract all those to keep your medicine standard. That's really the hard part. People don't realize that.
Well, I mean, that's kind of, because the overwhelm, when you get into plant-based medicine, and then first you're like, yeah, we're going to help, and then as soon as you get to a science, it's like the amount of ropes on, the amount of horses you're holding on to starts to multiply and multiply, because I've been tracking the history, because I've looked at how to grow plants all around the world from a farming standpoint, and I'm like, same thing. I look at the osamine, then I'm like, okay, this strain of weed tells me I should follow what basil does around the world, because I can't follow, Great Gardener strain in any great scientific detail, but I can follow osamine and the plants that grow like it. So then I find the basil, You end up in, yeah, you've got a Canadian sun, you've got a Mexican sun, you've got a Colorado sun. But if I track how basil turns out in the market, I can find the best people who've compensated and study their techniques to try to give me more data than just following weed alone. So I've pretty much been following marijuana's companion plants by following their terpenes to find out who their companions would be, where osamine becomes the dominant terpene in anything that would naturally grow. So it's probably where his strain grows, basil would grow naturally year by year. So that's kind of what I'm using to get my science down when it comes to using all the other plants that tell me about marijuana where there's no data, but there's plenty of data about other plants and other growers struggling in regions where they want to do something where their sun doesn't comply.
Are you logging all that data in like a Google Doc or something or software?
Nothing that I can sell. It's more
I mean, just for yourself.
Well, a lot of it's in books that come from the 70s. A lot of my knowledge comes from before I was born. Large, like I have encyclopedias of herbal medicines, and so when I hear a problem, I can look at the herb that solves it, look at its terp, then ask anybody, do you know any strains that are high in osamine and pinene? Because I suspect that strain will also do it for the cannabinoid modulator side of things. If I didn't know what strain could help and I had all the strains to choose from, I'd go to looking for the herbs that actually help their condition first to get a library of terpenes that are playing a part in it, then backtrack to find the weed that I need to grow. If I was looking at a growing program of the top 20, illnesses of the year. That's kind of why plant-based medicines throws you into all plant-based medicines in the history of humans and plants. So it's super overwhelming. That's kind of why I asked, did you even try to delve into growing any food in the same greenhouse space?
Oh yeah, there's going to be other things that we're going to grow in there. There's somebody that one of the scientists that we're working with had put together a combination of 5 natural plant-based medicines into one nutraceutical for tumors and cancer, and there's different things that you can grow naturally, like turmeric and broccoli sprouts, ginseng, and different things that I think everybody should be really just growing, so you could get these portions of superfoods, if you will, into your body. So that's really a lot of our programs and everything is actually based on eliminating the top 10 GMOs that are out there, like cereals, sodas, tofu, corn-based products, things like that, and then replacing that with not just a 70% raw food diet, but superfoods and foods that have more than, say, one-dimensional for your body, for instead of just fiber or just some vitamins, but like meringue that you always hear people talking about, different medicines that can be grown for that. So that's what I'm really excited about, is growing different stuff and then merging them together into these types of natural plant-based nutraceuticals, if you will.
Like barley grass and wheatgrass?
Yeah, like wheatgrass is really good. It's wheatgrass powder. That's the same thing I have coming out with the plant. I got another a whole raw food line and a whole raw product lines coming out. Stuff.
Nice.
That's what I've been working on for a while. And then those foods are sourced from local sustainable gardens. So everything that would come at it from beef jerky and the fruit leathers, all that comes from that state's local sources. So it's a true seed to sale in the sense that all of the gardens themselves are actually going to be local and organic.
No, well, I think I like that. That's what I was kind of. It has to bioregionally redevelop. The program can't just be thrown upon every region in the same. You have to, every greenhouse that you set up, if it's going to have that Act Now program, has got to make links with its own local producers, get that food tested, get that meat tested, in order to recommend it out that, just buy your groceries from, we're bringing groceries to you, because otherwise we're all wasting our time. And we know these particular foods work. I don't want to find out you're getting the GMO version of everything. And because grows can't be reproduced, that material that you grew all winter and saved, you can't reproduce it till next winter. So we've got to be more effective to eliminate waste. So, I mean, I've kind of curved myself back to just herbs because I can incorporate those, and people can reincorporate those into the grow room, because the same terps that the herbs are giving off to protect themselves from insects will also protect your bud in the grow room. So
100%.
you'll get a little bit of both by oversaturating the room with terpene therapy to mitigate insects, by bringing in other plants that are just giving it away for free that aren't necessarily your yield.
Yeah, it's the same way as using bugs. Like we use ladybugs, and you'll see a lot of pictures, even on River Rocks stuff that Dane takes now. There's always a ladybug, seems like, in every third of a picture because they're hanging out. They're just chilling out. They're taking command. We have like a program for them. Like there's different climate controls and humidity things, and
absolutely. And if you do that, then you get to skip a chemical that would wreck your whole program.
Yeah.
Beneficials and actually getting that. I mean, because that's the thing is, we giggle and go, well, getting a program for ladybugs. I'm like, of course, integrative pest management is a part of everyone's yearly cycle. And where you source your ladybugs from becomes a big problem. So, yeah, you need that on a program. Otherwise, you're left with no options too late in the game, and now you've sprayed, and your whole storage crop, for instance, if another competing company didn't have the same integrity, could have CBD with spray on it all for the whole year of all the products they produce. So you bet ladybugs get a program.
Nematodes too, and many other beneficial insects. There's little wasps that will literally plant an egg inside an aphid, and that egg will consume the aphid from inside out and be a little fly that just flies off. And they're not gnats. They don't eat your roots. They just fly away. So there's lots of different beneficial insects you can use for your cannabis plants, and they're definitely, for, like Horatio said, for each beneficial insect you use, you can generally avoid at least one chemical, but I would say it's more likely that you could avoid multiple chemicals with a single predator bug.
Yeah, we're also getting, we use those, and we're also going to be using I'll let you know how this goes, a frequency wash that's just 99.9% water with different frequencies run in it that you can foliar feed with your plants, but they also put basically a layer of protection utilizing distraction through some frequency that's left in the water.
Cool. No, I get it. I mean, rainwater, like the first rains that come down after a big thunder buildup, it's completely different water than your average pouring day. It's got a huge charge, and it does affect the plant. So, like I said, the more we try to get a plant-based science, the more we go back to school and realize we have to build a university to study in, because it's all over the place and needs to be roped down.
Yeah, we're traveling all around the universe looking for the solution, and people are eating apples going, I don't know where it is. You're like, well, we're going to find it.
All we got to do is just regrow that apple with the proper principles behind it, and it'll change.
They're printing them, you know that, right?
Yeah.
You know they're printing apples?
3D print?
They're printing for astronaut food. Now they're printing their tools. They're printing things in space. So they just take the elements and then they print everything in 3D, like little tools and things to use, but they print apples now. So they take carbohydrates and waters and sugars and different things, and they'll print you an apple.
Frequency zero on that apple. Frequency on that apple.
So, and then there's no byproduct either. It's 100% absorbed, so you never have to go to the bathroom.
Like I said, I knew it was a zero apple. We'll go for it, and I'll take a look at the humans that are grown off it. We try to grow humans a lot of different ways.
It's a 3D apple.
But I you know what, the thing about space is, I get it. You know, we can't jettison, poo into space. It'll last forever. 3D apple.
Well, on that note, I think we should puff a bowl.
That's what I need a hit to take that away.
Where's Puffable? Let's just hit this Marcel Phoenix.
Ribbon time.
D420K.
Rip, rip.
Time to rippity rip the ripper.
Cheers to you guys. Cheers.
Did anyone see Prince slay the dragon on Saturday Night Live last night? By slay the dragon, I mean they gave him 8 minutes of uninterrupted do whatever the fuck you want, and he jammed pretty heavy, showed what a talented guitarist he is. I'm not a huge Prince fan, but I have seen him in concert because he's completely just ridiculously talented. Plays like 27 instruments, like, well. But you should check out how well he was playing guitar on Saturday Night Live last night. You get a chance on the old YouTube. Which was not the highlight of my couch surfing the other night. That would have been Halloween Fish in Vegas. I came home. I got a link on Facebook. I clicked on it, and it was a live stream, just like we're doing here on YouTube. Fish did a multi-camera, high-end stream free of their Halloween show. And they did, for their second set, they did the scary haunted house sounds or whatever, the Disney album from 1964. They played the whole album. Super fucked up and weird and creepy, and then they jammed out a third set. So you can check it out on YouTube, I'm sure. I'm sure it was awesome sitting on my couch and watching Fish just kill it. I have to say, I don't get out much, Tony.
Yeah, me neither, brother.
I was all excited for couch surfing, couch tour. Felt like I was there, looking for my friends in the audience. Hey Tony, I saw the craziest 3D printing today. Some dude in China printed his 20,000 square foot office-warehouse, the whole thing, and he prints full-size houses. He just pops like 10 of them off a day with his giant... What? He prints houses, dude, I'm telling you. Punch-in Chinese guy prints full houses.
Get out of here.
Dude, they're not like the most amazing houses, but when you see how well it is, he takes recycled building materials, mixes it with concrete, and then has this crazy thing that just prints patterns. He prints whole houses, dude.
I can't believe it. What do you mean, like plumbing and everything in the walls?
No, like the house itself.
That you put together?
No, it's put together. You just have to go in, I guess, and maybe add whatever. You know, all I saw was a 5-minute clip, but my jaw was definitely on the floor for a while, looking at it, going, "Jesus fucking Christ! They just printed a house."
Yeah.
I've seen this machine also in Enterprise. They use it to get their food in Enterprise. They go to the ship and say, "I want this, this, this," and the machine made it. This is strange. This is.
That's what Tony put the link up for.
Well, yeah, no, I was gonna say so now as we get further down the line for artificial intelligence, now there's a way to print things. So now, next thing you know, oh look, we're printing cars, we're printing planes, we're printing this, we're printing that. Then that's when it gets scary, when artificial intelligence takes control of the manufacturing game that's printing. Start printing themselves suits, start printing themselves spaceships.
Dude, forget about it. They won't be printing. They'll be building shit by stacking elements, like atoms. They won't need some like weird, like 3-dimensional material that we have to harvest in any way. They'll literally be able to pull atoms out of the fucking air and build by stack. That's some crazy shit. I just read Eric K. Drexler's book. You got to check it out, Horatio. Eric K. Drexler. He coined the term nanotechnology in the 80s. He wrote the book Engines of Creation. Now his latest book is called Radical Abundance. It's fun in the least.
Here's the thing. Now, in my previous career, I get invited to lunchtime symposiums on 3D printers that print 3D printers. So I know all about that nerd behavior. Now, at the end of all those 3D printer sessions, the artificial intelligence going to destroy us conversation always melts down. And these are engineers, these are technicians, these are computer scientists. They all have a fear that the thing they love the most is going to swell up, develop, and try to kill them.
Well, that's the theory every time, and even in Engines of Creation, he never claimed nanotechnology could exist without first artificial intelligence. His theory in nanotechnology is that we would accidentally produce a sentient being, an artificial intelligence, and that artificial intelligence at one point in time in its exponential growth, which could be at the 1.3 second point or at the 0.0 nanosecond point, where it decides and discovers how to produce replicators and assemblers and how to access atoms out of the air and stack them into whatever it wants to stack.
So our big fear is if we end up in a machine, we fear ourselves as the superhuman, because obviously machines are stronger, and we saw Terminator, machines punch through us like no problem. So basically, if we accidentally actually end up in a machine, one human ego will go mad, and the machines will run amok. It's true.
But really, is it not just one more manifestation? It's just another manifestation of the human experience explaining to the universe how hard it will fight to survive. And even all these science fiction movies and all of the crazy shit that ever occurs, we survive.
As long as it's like, so the humans survive, our tenacity to go get it, and we'll project that onto whatever we need to. But I was like, yeah, the biggest fear is that if we get into computers, we'll want to survive so bad that we'll destroy the human race.
Well, I think the human race is a genetic living library, and that's what we are. And so that's a pretty strong foundation to have behind us. It's more than any single experience. It's all about, it's the multitude of experiences, you know? It's basically like all we're really trying to produce in all of this technology is like Tony's Act Now thing. We just want to like communicate the human experience to the rest of the universe.
Well, put the frequencies that we are, you know, we're all our different personalities in the hum of each of us is a frequency. So, I mean, it's no wonder we're attracted to the frequency sciences, which are plant-based medicine, and that's why it's so hard and exciting. It's actually way more hard than the technological sciences of making an AI computer. That's why I like it more. It's more difficult and multi-strained than if we just all put our heads on making a 3D printer that prints code. I'm more interested in the fact, you know, there's a new herb that if we cook it this way and process it, you know, we could all get some relief from suffering, which I think is what we're all after with all these medicines, is relief of suffering.
For sure. Yet, how strange is it that the suffering seems to remind us that we're human, and it seems to be the thing that drives us to... It's just such a paradox, isn't it?
It's a loop, but it's there for a reason, and it's a good reason.
For sure. I'm definitely not... I'm not down on it by any means. I'm not down on it.
Like I'm not down on technology, because I'm like, look, this guy just wants to make it better. He's lost somebody, and now he's going to build a big machine that should have brought his mom back, and bless his heart for, you know, how much effort they can put into technology at the same time. You know, we all want our arms back if we lose them. But it's about heart and passion, I guess. That's what we're all saying in different ways and achieving in different ways. Just like when you said, yeah, my passion for dry sift, so even bubble, you just naturally use a technique that produces no damage. And then 10 years later, Jim shows up and he's like, the no damage trichome head is the ultimate head. And I'm like, of course, Bubbleman's technique subtly would. He just happens to be that type of person. So when I ask you, does your strainer and spoon tech smash heads? You're like, absolutely not. And I'm like, we just found out this week how much of a medicinal difference all your bubble would make compared to somebody who was violent with the same strain, the same meds, if you just split the processing job after the bubble work. So yeah, your heart seems to make all of the subtle difference that we can't scientifically track. And plant-based medicine is kind of that marriage between tracking the data to all of these things that are just like heart. And plant frequencies are just like people.
Yeah. And Chris.
That's you. Looked like.
All right, what about that rip? We canceled that rip. Because I have my dabber here and it's not
Dude,
loaded.
I canceled nothing. I smoked the shit out of my bong.
Are you gonna eat through it during this at the last second?
Eat?
Yeah. Are you gonna switch? I noticed we're not all hungry this time, but last time everyone was. Wait a minute. I saw Tony eat. I do remember.
Tony was eating.
All right, so it's just me that's a martyr who goes empty stomach.
No, I'm martyred out. I've eaten nothing today, but we did start an hour early today. We started at 9 a.m.
Well, you're not supposed to eat?
It's supposed to be austerity. It's church.
Oh,
This
okay.
could be the church you subscribe to.
This was the church I thought I got to go to where I get to smoke hash and eat.
Yep, you get to do whatever the fuck you want in this church, except
But when you smoke and you don't eat, you get a different high.
well, that's why your belief system is also respected here in Hash Church, Horatio.
But
I get high
just
from
actually
eating.
realized that. I was like, holy shit, we are doing church things in many, many, many ways. We gotta watch it now. We have formed a congregation that's repeating.
It's hilarious, really.
And you know, our church accepts sandwiches in the middle of church. Our church accepts takeout in the middle of church. It accepts cell phone calls. It accepts coughing out. It accepts rants.
Dude, you guys just reminded me of something. Holy shit, this is going to be good. So one of our cool listeners wrote me recently, and it was an email, and he was basically saying how we need to have, geez, I don't even know if I have this Pages now. Where is Pages? Oh, that we need to have some sort of like commandments, 10 commandments. Now I have to admit, when I started Hash Church, I did grow up like, I guess, Catholic or whatever. I had to go to Sunday school for quite a while. So really, when I picked the name Hash Church, I did pick it thinking kind of funnily that it was a hash church. So
I told many people I was in church today.
Oh yeah? I'm gonna see if I can find this document.
I even dressed up for you.
I'm in the oldest church of the world. I believe in the sun culture. I believe in the sun because the sun grows my medicine, and this is the best way to get it. Still from God, still from the sun growing, and this is the best way.
Awesome. So I thought I put it in. I'm gonna figure out if it's in the cloud or where it is. I'm not even sure how. Yeah, I don't. Does anyone understand the cloud, or is it just me that's completely like the cloud confuses me? I really want to find this because it was good.
I don't like the cloud.
You don't like the cloud?
Whoops.
Okay, that's Eric Solomon. No, this is a bummer. We really need to find this because it was hilarious. And when I saved it, I was sure that I saved. Oh, I found them, guys. Here we go. I'm going to read these. These are the hash commandments. Now, I didn't even read all of them. I just thought it was kind of funny when I started reading them, and I figured, you know what? I will read these because they're funny. So, the Sunday Hash Church 10 Commandments. No, or amendments to the commandments. This is from Tommy, by the way. Tommy sent this in. And cannabis spoke all these words. I am the Lord your cannabis, who brought you out of prostitution, out of the land of prescribed pills. So 1, you shall have no other drugs before me. 2, you shall not make for yourself a lousy cannabis grow in the garret above or on the earth beneath or in the cellar below. You shall not bow down to them or harvest them, for I, the Lord your cannabis, am a jealous plant, punishing the children for the sin of the parents to the 3rd and 4th generations of those who can't grow me, but showing love to 1,000 generations of those who love me and keep my high standards. 3, you shall not miss the use of the name of the Lord your cannabis. You will not hold anyone stoned who misuses his name. 4, remember the Sunday Hash Church by keeping yourself medicated. 6 days you shall labor and grow all your weed, but the 7th day is a Sabbath to the Lord your cannabis. On it you shall not do any work, neither you nor your son or daughter, nor your male or female friends, nor your animals, nor any foreigner dabbing in your town. For in 6 days the Lord made the sun and the earth, the water, and all that is them. But he rested on the seventh day. Therefore the Lord Jah blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. Honor your bubble bags and your dry sift screens, so they may live long in the land of the Lord your cannabis is giving you. Number 6, you shall not murder thy neighbor's bong. Number 7, you shall not smoke bad weed. Number 8, you shall not steal thy neighbor's harvest. Very important on that one, guys. Number 9, you shall not give false information to thy neighbor. That one's important too. Number 10.
Yeah.
Number 10, you shall not covet your neighbor's hash. You shall not covet your neighbor's bong, or his grow tent or female plants, his pipe or hash oil, or anything that belongs to thy neighbor. When the people saw the bubble hash and dry sift and heard the reggae beat and saw the bong in smoke, they trembled with fear. They stayed at a distance and said to Bubbleman, "Speak to us yourself and we will listen. But do not have cannabis speak to us or we will get high." Bubbleman said to the people, "Do not be afraid. Cannabis has come to dab you, so that the high of cannabis will be with you, keep you from sinning." So I thought that was pretty fucking hilarious there, Tommy. Thanks for sending that in. And there are our 10 commandments. Feel free to rewrite them, anyone that feels they got a better version.
Those are pretty impressive, man, and a lot of thought was put into that. That was
even like
incredible.
I like how it covered so much detail, and then you threw in, I think it was number 6, just to be like extra clear. Like, what was number 6? Like about the bong?
I'd have to open it up again. One sec.
Well, the commandments do cover a degree of butthurt, and I mean, butthurt is what kills the community. So, I mean, that's what it's protecting against. Why he reinforces the bong subject in all facets, including gear, you know, genetics.
You shall not murder thy neighbor's bong.
Yeah.
No,
that's not borrowing it. That's not borrowing it. That's destroying it.
Yeah. That's out on a bong.
That's breaking
it.
Thou shalt honor the bubble bags and dry sifting screens.
Dude, that shit was funny.
That's fucking odd.
You shall not harvest thy neighbor's, steal thy neighbor's harvest, but even more importantly, you shall not give false grow information to your neighbor. Now that's a seriously good commandment.
Yeah. I'm like, false grow? I'm like, people do that?
Well, you know, the whole internet is full of people who want a voice. They feel that it's just a matter of opening their mouth and shooting out a bunch of information. And sometimes if you have the ability to sound articulate, whether what you're saying is accurate or not, people will listen to you. And if you put a white lab coat on, they'll listen even like, they'll be like, damn, dude, that guy's got like a lab coat on. Like,
I forget that the internet means that posting on the forum is your neighbor. So, yeah. There is a lot of posting false grow information to your neighbor via the internet. So yeah, it's a big no-no, and he is right then. That's a big commandment.
Those are the big commandments, and you know what? We've got a few minutes left before I stop broadcasting for the day here on Hash Church, but we'll finish it off by really just talking about those commandments and how they were solid. Tommy, thanks for sending them in.
Yeah, those are great commandments.
They sure were. Impressive.
Absolutely. You make some nice hash there, Darrin. Did you take care of thy neighbor's screens?
Yes, absolutely.
Wicked. Well, I right now am surrounded in I don't even know what I hope not $100,000 worth of Flavs bongs, but definitely close to 75 or 80. And I definitely do not want to murder thy neighbor's bong.
Oh no, I bet.
Why are they all at your house?
He just dropped 3 off because he wanted me to photograph them for this art show. So there's like a Marcel Phoenix over here, there's like a Mothership Dosa, and then there's this super ill ghost like electroformed head with, oh man, it's pretty trippy. Here, check it out.
So I got that too. See this?
Here, one sec. I'll put it on your camera, Tony. Let me see. One sec. There we go.
So I'll tell you the story behind this, right?
Yeah.
So This strain, somebody that I know happened to have some genetics and seeds from other people that travel around, and this one smells exactly like gasoline, exactly like fuel, like exactly like the gasoline at the pump. And so I said, yeah. I said, do you mind if we do a terp extraction on it? And I said, all I need is a bunch of bud saved and vacuum sealed for me and frozen. And I'll do a terp extraction on it. And he just like didn't even know what we were going to use it for. But I was like, I'm just curious if it smells like gasoline, because that'd be like a wicked smell, like just a wicked like smell. So what I consider a lot of bud and what he considered a lot of bud was two different things.
He gave you enough for a quarter of a drop?
It's like, oh, okay. And he goes, well, how much do you need? I was like I was thinking the whole plant. And he's like, the whole plant? And I was like, yeah, you know, like I need to work with the whole plant. He goes, and then he was like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do that. I was like, well, I mean, that's what it takes. Like, eventually you want to make hash with some stuff, right? You don't just want to like hoard every little nugget and smoke away at it. Like you could do other things with it. So people as they're coming out of the prohibition days, you know, they're really good farmers, they're really good growers, and then it's like they just need to understand that it's okay. Like when you're smoking it, you're not really, you know, you're not getting the exact same efficiency rating as you think you are, as if you were getting some good dry tip or some full melt or concentrates, you know?
Right.
So here's some of that hash I pressed. You said you wanted to end some things here. Just sticky right here.
Yeah, it looks nice and thick. So drop that on the table so everyone can hear what properly dried hash should sound like. It should make a clicking sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the sound right there. That's the clicking sound. You want that clicking sound. I don't know how else to describe it. If it's not making that clicking sound and it's making a different, softer sound, then your hash has not been properly dried.
Clickety-clack. So this is like some terp melt, though.
Clickety-clack, yeah. That would crack, too. I'm sure if you threw it down hard enough, you could crack it at room temperature or a little bit colder.
Yeah, perfect cut.
I know you probably said it earlier, but what temperature do you have that at to melt it?
What?
What temperature do you melt that at?
I just used that little cheap hand iron.
Oh, like the hair straightener?
Yeah, I just use it like while it's cooling down. You unplug it, and while it's cooling down, just for like 3 seconds to press it out.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yum. Yum-alicious. Hey, did I give these guys a shout-out? RKM Seeds from Spain. They sent me a whack of seeds, and I wanted to thank them. Represented. They're doing great work down in Spain. They definitely have. They win awards and stuff. They've got that Icer and a couple of other. Portula, I believe, is one of the strains that I'm looking forward to. So I think the Portula is the one they used, a real greasy Jamaican male off of a lamb's bread. And they used it in the breeding of this particular strain that they sent me seeds. So wanted to thank them for that. You're on Hash Church. Thanks again, guys.
Hey, Mark, can I ask you one quick question before we end Hash Church?
Absolutely. Welcome, Brian.
Hey, sorry for bothering you this morning.
All right, that was you at like 6 a.m. Hey, give me the link to Hash Church, man.
I was just so excited about getting in, forgot about the time difference.
That's cool, that's cool.
So I'm just wondering, you know, when we were doing our first couple bubble bag runs, how much time after the scoop you end up freezing it? I feel like I've seen a couple different answers to this.
Well, it is a bit of a tough one because in the videos you don't really see an accurate description because I want everyone to see what's there all combined. I like to scoop it in right away if I'm microplaning. However, more often than not, I tend to sieve. So if I'm sieving, at that point it becomes very difficult for when I'm doing a video because I'm not able to, you can tell I'm not in a controlled room. I'm outside, usually in the sun, because it's like, oh, it's a super beautiful day. Let's go make bubble hash. It'll make a great video. It won't be the best environment for me to now get the hash dry. So when you're watching it, I think a little bit is lost, and I think it's really why I owe doing a series of videos in the lab where you just see me in a controlled area, and I can show temperatures and humidities and simple little things, and I can show how the hash itself, which is really, we were talking about this today, it's one of the most important factors, is that you break it up properly. And with sieving, it's all a matter of, if you have a cold environment, it's easy for people to say who are working in labs, oh, all you need to do is wait for a certain amount of moisture to leave. Well, that's easy if you're in a cold environment. The moisture leaves fairly fast, and you can kind of touch and feel the hash without it becoming a nightmare because you're in a colder environment. It sieves easier in a colder environment. By what I mean by colder is, you know, below 60 degrees Fahrenheit. If you're into the 50 plus is getting to a good spot. Obviously 0, which for Americans is I think 37 degrees Fahrenheit, 0 degrees Celsius, is great. Anytime the resin can be as brittle as possible, as cold as possible, it also simultaneously makes well, it makes it easy for it to sieve. It makes it so it doesn't stick to itself and become like globulous and make it a nightmare to whack it through a strainer. And I think it's why most people choose to do microplaning. That, as well as if you're doing commercial amounts, microplaning is going to be you know, a world easier, depending on how many thousands of grams you're doing every week or every day.
It seems like fresh frozen microplaning is very, very tricky. I know you've talked about it, and John and you know, D420K all talked about it, but
it isn't. The trickiest aspect of it is that people don't freeze it long enough, and they also make a mistake of freezing a big patty and then taking the whole patty in their hand and microplaning it in a warmer area, whereas the heat from their hand is tremendous. These are small resins filled with volatile oils, and that temperature, they react very quickly to your fingers. So the obsessive compulsive hash maker will literally hold, I've seen, well, I've done it myself, where I've held frozen peas or something with a bag over top of it so I don't get the moisture, and just holding that in my hand, then breaking the pieces down so you're only taking small pieces out of the freezer, microplaning them quick to the point where they're not melting in your fingers. If they're melting in your fingers, A, you're probably microplaning too fast, you're squeezing the hash too hard, you're in too warm of a room. The simplest way to take care of that, and it's funny because, you know, you move someone who's been making hash in their bathroom into what they would call a lab, which is really just a small room that has, you know, the freezer and the water cooler and all these little tools organized. Once you move into that environment and you can control the temperature of the room so it's a cold room, you have an advantage that's going to be a large advantage over anyone else that doesn't have that, both in the dry sifting and the wet washing worlds.
Next step.
Johnny B.
What's up, guys?
What's happening?
Well, I'm in the midst of needing to build a hash room now, and what we're talking about right now is my next step. I want to have a room that's going to be controlled with my temperature and my humidity, and build a room.
What? I need the hash room. I'll tell you, I need hash rooms. I need hash rooms. I need a hash room in Canada. I need a hash room, well, in other parts of the wonderful world.
Well, I'm going to go to a craft fair in Prince George here, a wicked one, and get a whole bunch of goods. Goods for my fridge, pickled jars, jams, homemade stuff, maybe a new blanket. And it's been fun getting high with all of you today again and hearing the information that you've shared once again. Thank you.
Awesome, D. Thanks for fucking coming out, buddy.
Peace and hash worldwide. Here, Johnny!
See you, Darrin.
See you, Horatio.
Here comes the bubs. The bubbles.
Did you start an hour early today, Mark?
I sure did.
Oh, okay.
It was daylight savings, so
Oh, yeah.
YouTube didn't recognize daylight savings, so the clock was counting down at like 8:45. So there was 100 people in here almost immediately, within 3 minutes. So they were waiting. I figured might as well start at 9 today. And you call it 200 to 250 people in the room for all of Hash Church. So once again, I thank everyone for tuning in and listening, and some of you for partaking in the conversation. There's been a ton going on in the chat as well, in the YouTube chat, so everyone's been having good conversations there. I hope they've been keeping it polite. And yeah, fucking stoked. Probably gonna chime off here in the next, maybe we'll go for another 20 minutes just for the people that got here late. And then we'll turn it off at 12:30 West Coast time. That'll put us in here for 3.5 hours. A solid Hash Church, a solid congregation, as always. As always.
That's awesome. So, Mark, are we allowed to talk about snowboarding at all, or is that not Hash Church enough?
Well, I mean, I love snowboarding when it's involved making hash while snowboarding. If you've got some new design that is like producing hash while you're snowboarding, I definitely want to hear about it. Otherwise, no, I talk a lot about my other stuff in the weekly chats that you can check out on Google Chat and on Tiny Chat. Here, people are tuning in really. I mean, I guess they want to hear all sorts of stuff, but what we really want to give them is our firsthand experiences with hash, how it's helped us, or with growing, or tips on hash making, or things that we've discovered that we might think might help others. That's really what Hash Church is all about, for us to sort of share that important information. So yeah, and there's a lot of people listening, so hopefully next week we'll even get more. You guys can share the link. I put it in every week. The day after Hash Church ends, I put up the link for the next Hash Church. You're welcome to go click on that on the front page of my YouTube channel and share that around. You know, share it around on your social media sites. We'd love to have more people come in, and we'd love to hear from more people. We're always happy to hear from different folks that want to get into the room and share a story, have a little chat, and be patient with me because I don't get all the private messages sometimes. People are sometimes private messaging me during Hash Church, and sometimes I can answer, and other times I cannot. All right, just got a message from Jen Doe. She was going to come in, but she's never used it. She says she's going to come in next time. And she's also building a hash room right now. Jen Doe from Facebook, if you guys haven't checked her out. She's a hash maker down in Cali, and also a mother and girlfriend, and probably a gazillion other wonderful things. I know her through Facebook only. She's super kind, and I'm happy to look forward to meeting her in Amsterdam this upcoming Cannabis Cup, where she's going to maybe bring some of her infamous boob cure full melt.
Ooh, sorry.
No, I've met Jen, and she gave me some great advice on saving rabbit babies. She had some little babies with her at the Secret Cup that she was taking care of, and she gave me some tips on that too. So I'd be glad to see her again. Before I forget, I do have a question for you, Bubbleman. Now, you've talked about the trichomes that you don't typically extract on the stalk, and how, you know, concentrate extracts, they get all that. But you've also isolated those and tried those separately. And I don't know, I kind of picked up that it didn't taste good, or you didn't like it for one reason or another, whether it be for melt or I didn't really know, but kind of trying to get back to, well, what do you know about that, and what is it subtly playing a role in all the concentrates of today versus, like, you know, typically the bubble hash or the dry sift that wouldn't have that. So was it bitter? Was it nasty? Did it burn?
What are you talking about? What stuff?
I think it's the sessile bulbous heads, the ones that form on the stick.
The bulbous heads.
Yeah, the ones on the stick. Basically the trichome, the stalkless trichomes.
Okay, yeah, the bulbous are the stalkless. Capitate are sessile and glandular. You have capitated glandular trichomes. Those are the tallest, biggest ones. This one right here this big guy here. And then let me show it here so it's up bigger. So this big guy is a capitate stalk. This one is a fully grown capitate sessile. And then right on the leaf, which I've shown even on seedlings, you have the production of the bulbous, which I wouldn't be surprised if it has a specific cannabinoid profile. It's not one that is desirable for inhalation generally. I have played around with it a little bit. It definitely gives good effects when eating it, and it metabolizes in your liver as long as you decarb it. But I've never really done a lot of like GC analysis or anything of what's going on.
Just that fact that you said non-desirable for smoking, and I'm like, in what way did it have, back then, did it have CBD? Did it blow your high? Is that why it was non-desirable?
Well, it was just like in the way that, okay, it definitely doesn't have the same melt factor. It doesn't have the same taste. It doesn't have, like, they seem to be a much more waxy or just, I don't know, like I wouldn't be surprised if the science we saw it, no wonder it's less desirable for inhalation. Look at this, this, and this. It's the one that bumps the percentage on a lot of oils, though, because they're present.
Well, that's it. My brain started clicking, and I'm like, well, if it's in oil, what is it doing? And then I looked at the different solvents in that whole de-waxing subject, and then I looked at butane, and I'm like, oh my, I think I know why they get such ravishly excessive stuff, like bad stuff. I'm like, where is this bad stuff when I dab it? It's that bulbous, it's because we say bulbous is in big yield, it gets twisted in people's minds, but yeah, those bulbous heads are in everyone's extract, and it's kind of fearing, that's kind of what I was like, does it have a taste that I could find in the undertone? Does my solvent skip it? Does it incorporate it? That comment about it having more wax makes perfect sense when I see the chunks of, oh my god, people are breathing that in, that were in extract oil. So it's not typically in dry sift, that particular trichome.
I would guarantee this much, that the things that people are getting benefits from juicing the leaf are those phytocannabinoids that are present in those glandular trichomes. I would almost, like, be pretty close to sure.
No, because I thought about that, and I was like, well, I wonder if that's your bitter medicine, and that's why he doesn't like it for taste, but should I save back and do a specific harvest of leaves for those? Because just doing it off the plant during harvest, that would get me an easy extraction that then I could isolate and go, well, let's try that. It may be bitter medicine, and that one anecdote about I don't like smoking it tells me I can get another isolate of something unique just by harvesting those leaves uniquely and then extracting it.
Which is easy. You can separate out the leaves from the bud easy enough, and you can get a high percentage of that. And I think that's what River Rock was using in some of their salves. They were making a nice CBC and CBD salve that was basically just used with, like, leftover mulch plant matter that they were able to extract those bulbous heads and whatever else was present and produce a medical grade product that people still got relief from.
No, that's what I thought. That one comment, I don't like the taste. I'm like, bitter medicine should be put on the outside, not inhaled, but there definitely is something to test and focus on. So, yeah, as soon as you said that, my head started scratching. I'm like, if I could test it, I'd have the answer really quick, but you just gave me it. Isolated and put it into topical products, basically from the mulch, and it's already been done. So I know what to do next with that part of the yield.
Right. Welcome back, Tony.
Well, I wanted to add to that. So we do a lot of our juicing while the plant's still in its vegetative stage, actually before the trichome development. And so you get a lot of acid forms of CBGA and CBDA and THCA in certain stages in the plant. And so the later stages of the leaves, when you start to dry out just the leaves, that's when you start to see CBG, and it turns to like a CBC, if you will. And so the age form of the raw acid or the raw form of CBG in its leaf form turns into CBC. Just like THC turns into CBN. So there's
THC does
there's
turn
early
to CBN?
THC turns to CBN.
Does CBD also not degrade down to CBN, or is it just THC that does that?
THC that does that, it degrades to CBN. So like our P4, the P4 sublingual and the P4 prana pills that we have, those are CBD, 1-to-1 CBD to CBN. CBD activated, CBN activated. That's like your last nighttime. That's like something I've been using for insomnia, things like that. There's ways to control muscle spasms. There's ways to control different types of anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, epilepsy, seizures with the P4 in combination with the other ones as well. But that's why I did each section. I think it'll make a little bit more sense when you see visuals behind it. There's a little bit of products that I have out there, like description of it. But when you actually see things in front of you with diagrams and stuff, it makes a lot of sense.
I think when I'm on the program, I'll really have a better understanding of it.
Well, I mean, I just heard Tony save me $10,000 in testing by breaking down the whole harvest program to isolate. So we no longer have to do any of that testing. He just told us directly when it's available, when to isolate it, where to get it, how to. You just told me exactly. I'm like, that's exactly how to get CBG. So that's no problem. And the thing is, you can think about people's pruning programs over the course of a grow, and the fact they chuck it in a garbage bag.
Yeah, no, people. So there's like quite a few products you can make with the entire plant, as you would suspect. So I'm already looking into energy pellets and different things like that. And there's still components left of the plant yet. So, but yeah, the actual, like, I've actually updated the products page on United Cannabis just to break it down. But really, it's as simple as 1, 2, 3, 4 Bubbleman. The 1 is THCA or THC, so you have inactive, so it's THCA. So if you want to have pain relief, if you want to have energy, you want to have focus, you want to stimulate your appetite, but you don't want to be high, that's the P1. P2 is in 4 different variations, a 3-1, a 4-1, an 8-1, a 16-1. That's a daytime CBD formula that you would dial in based on the needs of that particular patient. A P3 would be a 2-to-1 or 1-to-1, again, depends on the patient's needs. And then the P4 is a CBD to CBN. So as a standalone, they do things for patients. In combination, they do things for patients. And when you sequence them and microdose them in a certain way, you can virtually dial in the endocannabinoid system. And so between the sublingual microdosing and then the capsule form 1, 2, 3, 4, stacking them, that's the saturation method that I talked to you about. And basically, those are for different types of patients that need heavier dosages, that need to absorb more full spectrum medicine without it getting caught up in the liver. So when you activate everything, then it takes a lot longer for you to process that in your body. So these are supplements that allow you to absorb more. So that's like as simple as it is, and there'll be a sequencing guide for doctors to understand, okay, these particular combinations help autism. These particular combinations help 3 kinds of conditions over here. And so you can dial in pain, you can dial in virtually anything between the immune system and the central nervous system. That's what I protected. That's what I've worked on. That's what the entire team's worked on. So that way we can provide that. So that's really what, when you watch that autism movie that I just did about William, then you could see, like, that really kind of describes how you can dial in a certain dosing. And in a microwave, that child's only taking 6 to 8 milligrams a day. It's like $1.30 a day.
I watched that whole video. It was very powerful, and I thought, when I saw the few views, I thought, If you can turn that into like a 3 to 4 minute video, because there's a lot of the storytelling, but just take the 2 or 3 most powerful things each parent says, get to the 15-minute mark and grab those couple of minutes, and then end it. I will gladly post that on my channel and get like 10 to 20,000 there, because it's a very powerful story. I linked it out as much as I could. But it was just the people I were linking it to were like, yeah, I'll watch it. I watched it right away, and it was extremely powerful to see those 2 people talk about that little boy and how much it changed his life from the non-consuming cannabis to the consuming of cannabis. And I kind of wanted to applaud that for their teamwork and how they sort of like took care of business. She was like, I'm going to research every single medicine that's available to my son, and then the other dude seems like, I'm going to take care of my son in this 3-dimensional reality that he currently exists in, and take care of any physical problems that arise. You could see it on both of their faces that it was not a light cross to bear.
No, and I think, you know, like normally I'd usually try to get them shorter, but I don't ever do things scripted. So we just set up multiple cameras, and I asked like 3-4 questions, and we just let people talk and tell their story. And the fact that not every child that has autism has parents like that are that devoted to creating like everything the kid needs. Yeah. So I really wanted to show like how because this is 2 parents that stay home, that have focused on their child, that have seen the future of autism and severe autism and what that could lead to. Doctors prescribing steroids and different things, and how that leads to death. And then she's more concerned what happens when she's not around and he's on his own. Who's going to take care of him? So she's more concerned about giving him the ability to really care for himself and something that manages him. And so I felt like the whole, what she said was important about them, because it allowed you to see who they were and their household as well, you know?
Oh, absolutely. It was essential, all of it. I'm saying if you want me to throw it on my channel, cut down a 3 to 4 minute version. I would love to put it up and point the.
Yeah, I'll do the what we call the long version, and then we'll do the internet version.
Yeah, because I could just point it towards your video of the full story, because then people can watch that. I thought it was a trailer, and I sat and watched it right through 34 minutes from start to finish. I was like, holy shit, man, this is like. And then when I figured out it was William in the background, it was like, of course that's fucking William in the background. Like they're with him all the fucking time. He's not just not there. He's like walking around in the background every once in a while. He gets up and bends down, and you see him get on his swing chair.
Yeah,
that was pretty good, dude. Pretty darn nice story to see, you know.
Yeah, we're gonna do a lot more of them. They're good.
Yeah, we'll just
really
wait. What's that?
It's really, and I never really approach anyone. It's really somebody that gets a profound change, which is why I do them. I don't go hunt out and be like, oh, let me get a video. It's somebody like, you know what? You've really helped my life. I want to reach out so I can help other parents understand it better. And I think what it comes from is that other parents. You could see that she got a little frustrated because other parents think that you're getting the child high or whatever it would be, when the truth is there's not that much THC even used in the particular drops that they're using. They're using the P2, which is a 3-to-1, and they're using a P4, which doesn't have THC. It's CBD and CBN. And so they're barely even utilizing THC or isolating THC. It's just there as a catalyst, and it does help calm the effect, but the triple effect is really what's going on. Of course it does. Yeah.
Hey,
but so that's why
is an incredible mood enhancer. It's why we smoke the bubble and the dry sift. It's why we all love herbs, and I won't be surprised one day when it's finally been undemonized that kids like William will be able to benefit from having a dose of THC that actually just increases his well-being and gives him mild euphoric feelings. Like, why do we look at that as a terrible thing? Why is that considered so effing taboo that if a kid takes a medicine and actually gets a good feeling from it, that's not the way it's supposed to be? Like, they're supposed to be scared and terrified and poisoned and sick and surgeried, and like it just seems really insane to me.
I think the definition of medicine is to make the body and mind feel better. like you're supposed to lift. You're supposed to elevate. You know?
I think so. That's what medicine is supposed
Not
to do.
deteriorate, elevate. You're supposed to be able to elevate.
I'm telling you, I'm with you, man. I believe that.
Johnny B, you heading out?
No, it looked like John was giving me 2 fingers.
No, it's like I'm a balloon too.
Oh yeah.
Johnny, how's
Well, that was a
your
great
neighbor
church,
doing?
guys.
Pardon me?
How's your neighbor
Sorry,
doing?
I'll let you get that question off in 1 minute because we're going to stop. You guys in chat here are able to continue, but I'm going to say goodbye to everyone that is watching, all 200 plus viewers, YouTube chatters, and of course everyone here in Google Chat. Thanks for coming out for Hash Church. That was 3.5 hours. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and it will be up on YouTube to watch, and we'll see you next Sunday back to our regular time, 10 a.m. And yeah, I'm not sure if I'll be here or in Toronto or Jamaica, but wherever I am, we will have Hash Church. So thanks for stopping in, everybody. Thanks, Tony, John, Horatio, Del, Brian, and Alexander, D420K, and everyone else that stopped in. Peace.